And welcome back to Worlds 2023. It is an all VCS showdown on the other side of the bracket. And right now for our last best of three, it's EMEA's BDS facing down potentially two PCS squads. In the event that Team BDS win this best of three against Flying Oysters, they will then face off against PSG in a best of five tomorrow. And something that surprised me when I double-checked the numbers, in the 15 games that have been played between LEC as well as PCS, it is only 9-6 in favor of the LEC. The stakes are very, very high. Goldborg, when I come to you, immediate reactions and concerns, as well as where we're going to start our focus on this pre-match.
Yeah, I'd like to address to the people that I think there are a lot of concerns going on with BDS right now. Obviously, coming into this tournament, we start out hot against NA, but we're also in this situation where we are an EO 4th seed, and with that comes a lot of struggles and curses, so I think the narrative is really against us.
Okay, right. So after the narrative set up, let's focus in on BDS's bot lane struggles. Crownie, Ezreal did not look good. I think also when he swapped over to the Zai, some early struggles as well. Raz, maybe come to you first on this one.
Yeah, for this one, not picking up Cleanse, so he was an early target of just a flash Maokai stun, and that's unfortunate because, yes, we expected them to perform better in this game because the series prior was not good. So that is, to me, a little weird, just because I came into this tournament knowing that Crownshot is an incredible player, that they generally want to play around him in front-to-back team fighting, but with the inconsistencies, it's just been weird to see.
That might be the problem with Crownshot. It's Crownie that's playing on the Rift.
Yeah, it's a different guy. Right?
Yeah.
You're thinking of someone completely different. But I also, to be serious, think that they just haven't won almost a single laning phase, and most of the time either they will lose. They lost 2 laning phases against DFM despite winning that series, but also they often default into not we're going to beat you in lane to we're going to survive the lane. And I think the most obvious one has obviously been Crownie's Ezreal that a lot of people out there are already quite tired of, and they should be too. But I also think there's too many times where we will default to a Braum where it's not into a Nautilus but into an Alistar, which is still very playable for the Alistar, and we don't have the same playmaking potential where Labrov is at his best. The Rakan is his best champion. It's the playmaking that we want to see from them.
So obviously the champion pool has one impact on it, but then I also think the playstyle and the decision-making. I want to put some numbers to something you just said, Goldborg, because let's actually take a look at the goal difference at 14 for BDS as a team, their early game performance, and this is averaged out across all the games at Worlds. This does not include the series against Golden Guardians. That was the qualifier series. That's not the World Championship, but plus 1,500 for Adam. And then negatives across the board. Obviously, 100, 200. I'm not going to be the most critical there, but again, it is indicative, and it's kind of surprising versus the pre-tournament expectations.
Yeah, it is. At least for Adam, he's been feasting on a lot of top laners. There's one that came to mind where in Game 1 versus Sparta. Also, the previous series, he kind of walked all over Oppamen. And so that's great to see that Adam is in form. And we are quite critical towards Crownie, but he's been actually doing pretty average. He's been doing well, decently. It's, for me, like the jungle and mid lane duo we'll talk about later on as the day goes on that have been inconsistent, but the bot lane is what we're focusing on because his matchup is Shunn. And Shunn has been showing out. Game 1 in the prior series, his Kalista was what won them that game.
I'm scared.
Yes.
I'm scared.
And you should be as well. But I think this is where you can actually have utilization of the Braum that I was a bit critical of, because ShiauC also likes the hook champions. Because the bot lane of CFO in general is the bot lane that will make plays. They will get ahead, and then they will move that gold lead into the team fights where they will pop off. And this is where I think you can start addressing the jungle and mid lane concerns as well, because Gemini and JimieN has been super impactful as well on the side of CFO.
Yes, JimieN has been a shock for me, and a lot of people who've watched him play in North America, getting back to PCS, and he's been performing, and that quadra kill that he had on Jace was exceptional. And right, Sheo came into this tournament, destroyed River, and so I had high hopes for him, but then has been having really poor showings. His mid lane jungle, like 2v2s, especially on the top side of the map, have just been falling flat. And it's weird because a lot of the times Adam's been getting advantages. They try to play towards him a little bit more, but they fall before they even get to him, and so he's been left on that island.
So listen, is it fair to say Flying Oysters have demonstrated a much stronger early game than BDS from what we've seen thus far?
I think it's even fair to say that CFO might be coming in as favorites in today's matchups, not just based on individual skill level, but also just in confidence shown. I think that it's not that there's bad players at all on BDS. I think it's the fact that they're playing scared. When I watch them play, they are a bit afraid to make the same plays that they committed with. And I was quite hopeful in the beginning, because I saw them play against Golden Guardians. I saw Sheo flash over a red buff wall level 1, out jungle River that way. They were so creative. They're finding different ways to win. win. And then as soon as they won that matchup, it was like, all right, but now it's playing, so surely we can just breeze past it. They lost one game, and there was like, wait, we're kind of scared of losing to these playing teams. At least that's how it seemed when I watched them play.
And that's fair. I'm still going to be more of a BDS homer here because after the CFO series...
Geez, you can get my t-shirt.
I'll be waiting for it. The problem that I have with CFO is that their mid game is pretty hard to watch. Like, that was a beautiful play on the Gnar and Orianna kills that they got that won them that team fight, but that was just them A-ramming for quite some time because they were not willing to play through side lanes, and that's something that I know BDS will play around. So I think BDS early game, sure, a little bit questionable. Their mid game is going to be what wins them this series for me.
Okay, so we've talked about the strengths and the weaknesses of each respective team. Now I want to know, what do you anticipate happening? Coming into the series, Flying Oysters won the coin toss. They got to pick side selection, so they will be on the blue side. Knowing that they're going to have the potential to first pick something in draft, also potentially allowing BDS counter pick. We've discussed what we want to see from Crownie. I think I want to see him performing better, playing to the level that we know that he can. We want to see Sheo having the impact that he did against Golden Guardians. What do you want to see from Flying Oysters or BDS, especially when we're in the draft, especially when we're in game 1?
I think it's a good adaptation for CFO, knowing what BDS has already struggled with. Red side is often that counter pick side you pick just because you get to have a stronger side for your solo lane, and that's great for Adam. But the problem is BDS haven't actually been very good at utilizing counter picks on red side. So having blue side, you just get to get some of the priority picks. You can ban away the Orianna. You know the standard control mages will come through from Nuke, and then you can just kind of pick whatever you want that's still strong at the other side. You want to pick an AP jungle in the beginning, like a Maokai? Cool, we have Jimmy and Jace coming through, and we're happy with playing that. Then we have the priority picks.
Yeah, the priority picks for me, I think Xayah is going to be first picked here from CFO. And while people may not be a fan of it, if you see a good Ezreal, like a solid Ezreal game, you'll be happy to see it. I think we'll see an Ezreal counter pick into it, and I think that's the correct choice. So I'm interested to see.
Okay,
I hope
then
we
it comes
don't
down to execution and performance. I need a very quick winner and scoreline from each of you. Raz.
2-0, I give it to BDS.
Wow.
2-1 CFO.
2-1 CFO. Before we send it to casters, let's hear what Crownie himself had to say after the series yesterday.
It feels good to be back on the winning side. I think we got a bit overconfident game 2 against Team Wales and then didn't adapt properly. And I even said in the interviews I didn't like how I was playing. I was playing a bit too passive like champions and in-game. So I was on a bit more agency today, which is what I liked. I think the GG win also had meaning, but this one helps to regain confidence after you have a bad series. You know, there's a lot of criticism coming your way. It can affect you mentally, and this kind of helped us find our identity again.
It's going to be great, and I mean, Observer gets hooked, gets into the feathers and flashes away. Aria was there available. All the roots come down! Crownie goes down, but he takes two with him in a 2v1. Crownie stands tall, and the rest of his team know they can go full tilt on that top side.
I think to maintain our shape, we need to be very clear on exactly what we want to play. We need to stick to our identity that worked for us the whole year in LEC and not move like too far away from it. And other than that, we just need to be disciplined in game and not play like we did some of the games against Wales. I'd like to thank all the fans for their continued support. It's been amazing so far. Obviously, it's a first international tournament for most of us, but to see all the support like really means a lot. So I would just like to thank everyone.
Hello, welcome to the Caster Desk. Here we are for what could be a soul-crushing series for EMEA fans.
My eyes will light up with joy.
That's rude.
I'm obviously kidding. I don't care.
I mean, okay, all right.
I don't care.
This is a weird vibe to start the series with. Anyway, it's CFO versus BDS.
Is it weird to say that your soul's going to be crushed if one team loses, and I'll say I'm elated if one team wins?
No, I guess we're both kind of maybe overly invested. Here we are. This is going to be a wild series. CFO have been looking pretty good, pretty solid, but you heard from the analyst that this is a tight one. This is a contested series. BDS have shown us, let's try that grammatically, an incredible series. Showed us an incredible series. I'm struggling. Versus Golden Guardians. They looked like gods. That's where the gods meme started. They had one Darius game where Adam, specifically, and mostly Adam, looked like a god. Every game after that has looked shaky.
We have seen that you can bounce back from a rough day one. We saw that just previously with Gam having their revenge against Loud. And here, I will say that they looked better yesterday. I think there are still some concerns for BDS fans with regards to how proactive they are when they get ahead. I think they were happy to just win yesterday.
And my thing is, that version of BDS, the BDS that sits quietly, comfortably in scales, is fine. That's a BDS that won Spring for the most part. They were great at team fighting. Adam absorbed pressure. Crownie and Nuke carried team fights. That's what they were so good at. But the problem is, as we get further and further into the tournament, the amount of teams who will let you get away with that is lower and lower and lower. And so I think for EMEA fans, for BDS fans, LEC fans, they want to see more than sit back and scale or pray to God that Adam does Adam things.
And, you know, you can maybe have that prayer answered in Swiss stage. Because I think you can, if you're playing well, get away with it against what looks like their path forward to Swiss stage from here. The fact that you are going up against CFO, and then if you win this, you're going up against, I almost said GAM, not GAM. PSG Talons.
Yep.
Both those region teams from the PCS region tend to play a little bit slower, and if you're willing to just take scaling opportunities, you might be able to match them in that. So I don't think that BDS needs to try and reinvent the wheel here and really go too far outside their comfort zone. I think it's just about playing a little bit better within it.
Certainly. Well, already we have a great tool for vision control, team fighting. maokai overall feels like a jack of all trades in terms of team contributions. Individually, obviously can be a pretty underwhelming champion, but just does so much in the game for the team. So maokai will be the first pick in there, and no surprise, the Analyst Desk talked about it. Xayah early prio will be there too. Sheo, Lee Sin hover over here.
Surely not.
Just in there a little wide-eyed. Oh, there it is. That's a classic.
That's what I thought.
Very different flavor from our previous series, but makes sense. I think both these junglers often utility for their respective teams, and in the anticipation of a game going late, you want that beefy front line. But here's the Jace coming through. Obviously, Jace mid lane with the carry. In this case, we can expect a Kai'Sa, I imagine. Was incredibly powerful on the vast majority of playoffs patch. It was the strongest composition by far. Jace worked strong in the mid lane with a Kai'Sa in the LEC season finals, so not surprising to see it potentially prior here. I would be surprised not to see a Kai'Sa.
Yeah, we'll see if they want to go for it. The poke AP variant of this that made it giga busted is not quite as powerful and largely gone. But the maokai and Jace alone are able to combo together extremely well. The fact that you can land a sapling, which sets up a accelerated blast, is very powerful. And you can chunk people out extremely easy if they're squishy at all, and that's one of the combinations. When you factor in a Kai'Sa poke as well, that's when it gets absolutely busted. And we'll see if Shunn ends up trying to build the more AP build or just stick with lethality or something else instead.
Yep.
But still, just the makings of a very strong, stable comp already from CFO, and using a lot of their most played champions. Most played for Gemini in summer, and JimieN's second most played in Jace, assuming that is going there, not up to rest.
And here we are. The nuke going to respond with the Azir. You know, control mages personally are what I like to see him on. Obviously, he has a couple of different signature picks. He likes the Cassio, he likes the Syndra, but I really enjoy his control mage play. Orianna has been taken away, so Azir is the next in line. Is a very powerful champion. And this is one of my favorite champions in pro play as a control mage because it can make plays on one or two items. At a certain point, you should stop Shurima shuffling in. A lot of people miss that, but you should stop.
Nah. I appreciate the ones who've never seen a shuffle they didn't like. There's not an angle that they won't take. That is generally speaking not the nuke one. He's not quite the most proactive Azir. And, you know, I think with the makings of their comp so far, they will need to be slightly aggressive if they're getting poked out. They do need to find their times to go in, because otherwise CFO might continue to opt into the range advantage that they currently have.
The question now is, Rakan already banned away, so what's the support prio here for both sides? Nautilus would be the easy assumption to go alongside the Kai'Sa. Reo is also up and available.
I think it's also very questionable about whether you want to take it blind or not, because if CFO somehow end up with two more shorter, beefier carries coming in from the top and support position, maybe a Braum can look good, which is Labrov's one of his favorite champions, it seems like, with how much he plays it, and you could save your counter pick then for support. But then that doesn't always feel great to go support fifth, and then if you don't get that angle and you just lock in what you were expected to lock in anyways, it doesn't quite feel as good, and then you're taking last pick away from Adam, who can have game-winning performances. So ideally, I would like to see that taken away and something a little bit more normal here.
They've banned the R in Gods. Gourds.
Less popular, but
less popular. Not the champion that doesn't fit into the letter puzzle.
The street merchants are having a great time with gourds.
Okay, so what is the option going to be? So blind pick Alistair is the choice. Response here wouldn't be surprising to see the Rel. I think the matchup is less easy post rework because you used to be able to interrupt the snare with the E on demand on old Rel, but not entirely confident in that. So we'll just have to see how it unfolds in game.
Either way, neither one of these matchups feels like it's, unless there's big positioning mistakes happening, going to be focused on the 2v2 and more about probably getting on the map, comboing with junglers, making plays happen. We'll see if they can do that here, and this is the part of the draft I'm most interested to see what Rest wants to take here. Blind into Adam, who has his unique counter picks. The Aatrox being hovered.
Olaf angle, potentially?
You tell me, you've been watching this guy all year.
Not sure. I've actually been waiting. As much as people like the Gods acronym, I really like Adam's Aatrox. Yamato Cannon's been hyping up for a long time, and I would just like to see it once or twice, but let's just go through the... Okay, so there's Garen, there's Olaf, there's Darius and Set. Darius is banned. There it is! Okay,
All right.
there's the S!
We got the S, baby!
The question is he going to be putting it into Gods, or is he going to be putting it into Dogs? Going to have to find out.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We have seen mostly Gods out of Adam. I will say, even the games where he's done some silly things, it is mostly in already losing scenarios or the team not playing well around him. I think he has had a very good Worlds thus far for himself. And here on another one of his signature champions, going to be making the game about him, comboing with Sejuani, having the ability to stack up the Sejuani passive very quickly if you come for a gank with your Q reset on your auto attacks, getting both those little jabs in there quickly can get some really nice CC. You bring a ton of it yourself.
And yeah, set up with the ult, flanks with a showstopper. Set does a lot to also disrupt any potential engages coming in from Gemini or ShiauC. Obviously won't do a lot to interrupt the Maokai ultimate, but I think in general Set is a champion that we've really only seen him a lot in pro play when he was, I think, objectively overpowered.
Yes.
But is a champion still who still has a lot of unique utility that still puts him in the range of bruisers like Darius or Garen, but maybe with a bit more team fight priority at the cost of some of that individual 1v1, I can just push Q on your 80 carry and they die.
And a lot of the champions that Adam seems to be his best on are the ones where if you play the line correctly, it gets disgusting. Olaf, when he gets really low and he gets all those steroids stacked up, can make some crazy plays. Set kind of like that, where you have this massive Haymaker shield that can come through, convert that into a ton of damage if you time it right. Then you suddenly, if you're going the Gore Drinker build, can proc that to heal up a ton. There's some really disgusting things you can do, and especially if the enemy is not prepared for playing against Set, which honestly, like you said, he was only briefly popular, and even then, you start to see him more in support in other positions than even top lane.
Yeah, mid lane Set, I think, even probably had a more of an impact on pro play than top lane Set ever did, or support Set. As we gear up into this game, reminder, elimination match. Winner will play against PSG Town in a best-of-5. Winner of that will make it through to the Swiss stage. Swiss draw happening, I believe, at the end of the broadcast tomorrow, so we can see what all of those first-round matchups look like. That's a very exciting draw.
Yes.
No more groups of death. Just a lot of scary teams and a high chance that you'll get drawn into one of them coming out of play-ins.
Yeah, Pool 1 will draw from Pool 4, Pool 2 will draw against Pool 3, and the only limitation being you cannot play against your own region. So quite a bit of opportunities for some spicy matchups early on if LNG somehow ends up against Genji or something. Who knows? Actually, they're not Pool 4, are they?
I'm going to be honest.
No, it would be KT who's Pool 4, right?
Yeah.
I'm
just saying
Weibo's
yeah
Pool
to
4
you
for
because I have not looked at the pools and was going to wait for
I can just get you to say yes to anything then. Don't tell me that, man. I'm just going to lie to you. Be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pool 4,
Yeah. You remember that part in Arcane where... Never mind.
EDG's at the tournament, by the way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
EDG pool, what? 6? Separate pool?
Yeah.
Carpool?
Kiddie pool.
To the airport?
That's where
We'll
Golden Guardians is waiting for them.
Waiting for them. Gotta save money on taxes. It's gotta be efficient. Keep them there for an extra week. Anyway.
Back to reality here early on. A very familiar matchup for anyone in the summer split. A lot of this is pretty similar stuff to what we've been seeing. A lot of the newer champions getting banned out are not focused down here this time around.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, a very good test case game for both these teams who are happy to play slow and trust their late game decision making and scaling and setups. And if you lose that, you are forced to adapt. And you can already see Adam making a little flippy in the top side.
Yeah. And obviously Aatrox early lanes is a champion exclusively when he has his Q up and available, which is a very long early cooldown. JimieN getting a nice trade there. Nuke trying to extend it just to get the better side of it on the back end of the trade. Nice little punt back from Labrov on the level 1. ShiauC and Shunn doing what they can to establish a lane advantage here. Level 1 Oyster, obviously pretty underwhelming when it comes to lane contributions.
I love this. You can already see with the early wards that they drop with their traditional crazy BDS level 1s that they're very aggressive with. They tend to try and do things to set up plays. They know that right now, Sheo is camping this brush to see if Maokai crosses over into the top side of the jungle, trying to find him. He's not doing it. So there's 2 potential dives. Looks like he's focused more on JimieN right here, but Gemini's making it in the bot side.
Only level 1. Crownie just now going to get level 2. Cleansing out to safety, but he doesn't have a lot of feathers laid down. Maybe he can get the pullback. First blood coming in. Big fumble.
What an aggressive play out of CFO. Gets punished immediately. The teleport that was coming through. Looks like Adam was not able to finish showing up there. Got interrupted.
But it didn't matter.
No.
They still got the kill. He's happy to still be topside. They might turn that into a dive, although now he's eating tower shots to get more W damage.
Calculated.
5-head.
Absolutely not a mistake. Rest, nice E to get out of the true damage from the Haymaker there, playing that little mini game. And I assume that for the Aatrox, this matchup is going to be tough, but especially in the early phases before you start getting the lower Q cooldowns, exceptionally long ability early on.
Flash forward, Shattering Strike, Labrov. Punting back there. Still has the pull. His Crownie starts to walk up here. Gemini very low. Crownie has to be careful. Labrov, nice pulverize to interrupt the rel.
What is this?
This lane matchup's kind of funny. Whoever goes first just doesn't get to engage.
It's also very funny when a 200 HP Maokai is trying to walk through a Xayah.
Yeah.
That is questionable decision making there, and I think BDS has done a good job reacting to the shenanigans thus far.
And this is important, again, because you know, BDS came out swinging in game 1 in the previous series, but need to see that same level of consistency. And not surprising to see potential nerves on the stage. Don't want to make any assumptions about players' emotional state, but this is a high-stakes game. It would be totally reasonable for there to be some, you know, some stress, some anxiety about the series.
Well, I also think there's a degree of game planning around this. Crownie died early on in the previous series. Yesterday, they were able to make plays against him, and I think they were maybe saying, CFO looking at that series, saying, hey, maybe if we do some tricky timings on ganks or dives happen, maybe we can get Crownie. The idea that they tried to get the kill before they hit level 2 on that bot play made some level of sense, but of course, it's very easy to hit level 2. They managed to do that. And then the repeat gank, because he's low, you're thinking, hey, maybe if they are not paying attention, this will work. But unfortunately, I think Labrov has done a good job so far in the early lane phases of interrupting any attempts to jump on top of him.
It certainly has. You see Maokai on the top side of the map, Gemini just shadowing Rest in the event that Sheo shows his face topside. Adam going to be forced to catch that massive wave. Rest having the luxury to back whenever he wants to. Again, early levels, very important for Aatrox just for Q cooldown, and Adam hasn't been able to spend any gold that he accrued. But take a look back at this. Talk about what went wrong here. Level 2 timing, insane from BDS.
Yeah, just the first minion, so there was a very, very tight window to try and get in there before that happened. I think the Q of Aatrox interrupted that Adam teleport, but like you said, didn't need it. Very early on, turrets do a lot of damage, and you are not that tanky, so CFO instantly get punished there. And nice for Crownie to be the one to pick up the kill on the tail end of that as well. So he's going to be quickly accelerated into his Noon Quiver and make last hitting a breeze.
Yeah, doubly important because you can see an early serrated dirt coming out from Kai'Sa, which means we very much expect the lethality build. Usually Umbral Glaive into the Duskblade, which is very strong 1 to 2 item spike. Not going to offer as much scaling damage output, and certainly not any magic damage output, which could be a concern as we get later into the game. That said, early on, you ult in, you push Q, they can't do anything about it, they die.
Yeah, House of Red Smite for Gemini here. So they get a little bit of magic damage, you know, a little bit of burn. Didn't go the first strike build, going instead for Phase Rush, which I think is technically the correct thing, but I am a big first strike enjoyer.
Well, he also went, you know, he went Cloth early on. So I'm like, as you said early, Boost 2, are you going tank? I feel like if your AD is going to go lethality and your mid laner is also going to go lethality, it's going to have been a great Demonic Embrace game. We'll see where he wants to take it. Flash in, immediately going to go for the punt, immediately going to go for the knockback, the alley-oop, the quick flash out from Shunn. Flash for flash traded at the end of the day, Labrov's for Shunn's.
Yeah, still a nice chunk out though, putting Shunn in the back foot, having to burn through the single pot that he had, still not going to take him up to full, and also giving Prio now for BDS to start this dragon, something they're absolutely huge fans of. Dragon stacking is their bread and butter for their early game plan.
Yep. Go for these objectives, set up for these fights. Out-executed the vast majority of teams in the LEC when it came to fights in spring. That's how they got a lot of their wins. Built comps to fight, fought better. Made it work for themselves. There's a Hex Flash over the wall from Labrov. Allows him to cancel. No, not quite. He's got no summoners left, so they're just going to walk past each other. Or no spells, rather.
Yeah, it was a clever idea, just couldn't get it done in time. And so far for Rest, I gotta say, doing okay in the top side despite some of these struggles in the early levels. Now hitting level 7, has his boots too to try and keep the distance from set. Play a little bit more of the tippers that you're trying to land on those.
Yeah. And you know, I'm not entirely confident in how this matchup goes in terms of the individual dynamics, even if we understand the champions pretty well. But obviously, the later you go as Aatrox, the more you're going to be able to ignore a lot of what Set wants to do. So much of that is going to be the Haymaker, which means it's hard for you to all in, because if you Q3 when he's got W up, it's going to feel very, very bad. But at the same time, what is Set going to do to you? So they're both just kind of staring each other down, pushing waves in, trying to play for as much tempo as they can.
Uh-oh.
ShiauC. Caught out here. Going to be the lockup coming through. The stun going to connect coming in. Nuke is there as well. He's going to slide and he's going to glide. He's not quite going to get it done, but the ignite is ticking. That means a quick kill over Sheo.
Does also mean that Shunn is cut off on the bot side here, as the rest of the team is going to just continue running down on the tail end of that play. Trapped under turret, no teleports available.
Shunn, cleanse coming out a little bit early here. Feathers fly, Feathers come right back. Trying to pick up another kill. Donated by jungle support in mid is Adam to the top wave. No counter punch yet on the Herald coming through. Gemini bot side, but a little bit late. Nothing really here for him. JimieN's going to try to get the wave in. It will only deny a couple creeps and potentially a plate to nuke, so still a massive play in favor of BDS.
Gotta say, this is basically the perfect dream start that you could have for BDS, where you counter out all of the punches out of CFO. Labrov is making moves on the map, being very proactive, comboing with Sheo. Nuke's moving around. They're very, very good right now. They have a 3-kill advantage here, and just heads up on knowing that ShiauC is going to try and roam mid here, camping him, getting him ready to go. The fact that you have the early escape there, and then during that time, you don't really see it on the mini-map only, is that Adam was messing with JimieN. So they are doing very, very proactive plays early on out of BDS here.
Yeah. Again, clean dive, well executed, leveraging the tanky power that they have. Labrov's not even level 6 yet, and they're pulling these dives off, which is only going to get easier as we get later into the game, and as Kai'Sa falls further and further behind. Across the board, you know, flashbacks to a stronger, earlier version of BDS. While people are really hyped on the Adam train right now, it's important to note that a lot of his games weren't flashy. A lot of what made Adam good was the amount of pressure he absorbed or his willingness to sacrifice himself. It wasn't being 6-0 on Darius or Wampa stomping his individual 1v1 matchup. Like, that is obviously something that he can do, and people like that part of him a lot. I get why. But this version of Adam that absorbs pressure, that disrupts enemy plans, that eats 3 bans in the ban phase and sets you up to pick what you want, is the version that we saw much more in LEC.
Take a second here as Gemini drops his ultimate, but does not angle that very well. The rest of the team is able to skirt right out of there.
All right, hold back is there. TP now coming in, or at least able to grab that TP. Adam going to lose a decent amount on the top side for showing up here, but stops the play in its tracks. Sheo already starting the Herald, however, so trying to convert this into something.
Yeah, they saw a number of resources, so even though Adam ends up going down to the bot side of the map, Gemini is on the top, meaning that you still have roughly even numbers, and the rest of BDS is just going to continue getting escorted out of the bot river into mid lane to make this play happen.
Yep. Stun now coming in, just trying to zone him away, take the objective. Infernal Chains, dash, walk out. CFO are here, but it's way too late.
Yeah, looks like they're going to be able to get away free. Oh, flashing in.
Full commit here, push back on the shuffle, now trying to escape. JimieN able to grab that one. Good that they're able to get the kill back. Meanwhile, Adam grabbing plates on the bottom side of the mid lane. No action coming through quite yet, so CFO get a bit of a counter punch, but BDS still wildly ahead in gold.
Yeah, a little bit of greed there by BDS to finish off that Rift Herald and try and escape that way, but at the end of the day, you're still very happy to grab the Rift Herald, and Adam is just alone this entire time, grabbing 2 turret plates for himself, clearing these minion waves out, up to a 2,000 gold advantage. And the rest of the team just being so proactive on the map and doing such a good job of flowing between plays, where you find a pick in the jungle that goes bot lane, you escape from bot lane to go mid to then try and escort this Rift Herald. Adam TP's down bot, he stays there.
Adaptive lane assignments, taking objectives, leveraging pressure across the board. This flexibility, fantastic to see, because again, yesterday, while they were ahead, it was slow, it was controlled, but it certainly wasn't this imposing in the early game, and this version of BDS is a sight for sore eyes.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see this for them. I also, while Adam does a lot of shenanigans, and it's really cool, like you were saying, and I often like when Sheo is not drawn too far into those shenanigans, where it becomes a bit of a black hole in the top lane, and all you can really do is try and cover Adam if it's not going well, or make dives happen and you ignore the rest of the map. I like when he is unlocked a little bit to make his own plays, because I do think he does combo decently with Labrov at certain points in time, and has tricky pathing and playmaking, and here he has been kind of unlocked while Adam is on largely weak side. There was that one dive they were considering up in the top side here. For the most part, it's been about what he wants to do on the map based off what he's seeing, and has accrued also a CS advantage for himself in the jungle.
Grabbing these plates, being left alone a lot with these towers as CFO are trying to overload or respond to a play a little bit behind tempo. And this is kind of the cost when BDS are in a position to punish, is that, you know, you can come contest this play, but you're late to the map or you don't have prio in your lanes. It means giving up something else somewhere else on the map. For CFO, quarterly profits not looking great. Shareholders concerned. Not a great time to be chief financial officer.
Solution? Cut. Layoffs.
Layoffs. Stop giving gold to Gemini. Give more to Shunn.
That is what we'll have to see if they can do in this game, and if not, in draft. maybe be a little, I don't know where we're going with this.
I don't know where we're going either.
I was going to say less greedy with your picks, but honestly, they're not that greedy. It's just about BDS.
Yeah.
Having better, like you said, reads on the play and tempo to then go from this Dragon take now immediately into a Rift Herald take. This is going to drop bot lane turret, funnel more gold into Crownie, who's already got 2 kills, super far ahead. First turret broken. He's just going to be able to start roaming around the map now and continue to farm up and become massive. 20 CS advantage as well.
Trying to go for a bit of a play there on the bottom side. And Gemini so often shadowing these plays, not trying to make a counterpunch elsewhere on the map, means that CFO are just perpetually responding. Perpetually playing catch-up. Rest with a small level advantage on the top side of the map. No Gore Drinker yet. That'll help the matchup a lot in terms of just lane sustain. Adam is going to get pulled back here. Nice timing, though, on the Haymaker as well as the pullback.
Yeah. Thus far, though, just surviving and, you know, with the turret plates that he's gotten for himself, actually up around 700 gold. So even though the farm looks equal and there's an assist for rest, Adam is ahead of the matchup currently, looking quite good for himself. And I gotta say, one of the other strengths of Adam is his ability to find unique angles in team fights, which is something that becomes paramount on set. When you find unique ways to dunk teammates into each other or to pull them into the rest of your team, following up with big the clapbacks, pulling everyone in for stuns. That is one of the things that really defines set in the mid to late game, as much as we're talking about the early game laning phase. And we'll have to see if he's able to do that.
No. Smash card, lane economy snapshot, very clearly in favor of BDS.
That's going on Crownie's mom's fridge. That's a good snapshot right there.
She's gonna like that snapshot.
Yeah,
that's good.
Print that one out.
Print that one out. That's a great report.
That's an A+.
Thank you, MasterCard. I think the good news if you're CFO right now is while this has been difficult, Kai'Sa, ton of lethality, Q evolve, gonna be feeling good coming into the next fights. If you can find these isolated targets, if you can pick someone up. The grouped up fights are still tough. JimieN in mid lane is doing well. Some of his gold lead a little bit artificially inflated because of first strike, but still finding a small advantage here. Once he gets 2 items, he's going to start to hit. Not like a truck quite yet, as there are a lot of beefy frontliners, but definitely going to start hitting hard.
Yeah, I think it's a decent game for him. Has farmed well, has largely stayed mid on Jason and CS while all the plays were kind of happening around him. And I think this is the question now for CFO. We've talked a lot about from the BDS perspective. For CFO, you're not terribly concerned about getting super outscaled. I mean, obviously a 3K gold deficit is a problem, and the pace of play is not the problem, but it's the lack of options. I haven't really seen what their plan is, how they're going to approach this game. It's largely been, we tried this one bot dive, that got countered out, and since then we've done nothing. And I don't know what they want to do from here. When is, in their opinion, the time to contest? They are now all on their first item. Both teams are, and so with Herald up in 40 seconds, is this when you want to go? Is it third Dragon? We're not quite sure yet. We're going to have to see what they do.
Yeah. CFO are getting dragged around the map by BDS right now. They're just ready to respond. They're just hoping that BDS overextend right now, and it's putting them in a tricky position. And I think their composition, while the scaling is solid and there will be opportunities to fight back, one of the struggles of the Maokai as opposed to Sejuani, while Maokai provides, in many cases, just way, way more utility, his ult is a terrible engage option when you're behind. It is so much better when people have to fight into you, when you can get objective set up first, when you have any kind of lead and you compare it with any other kind of engage. But Gemini, already behind the plays in many situations, for now just trying to hold on to this blue buff. BDS take total control of the top side of the map, and why are they doing that, you might ask? Well, surprise, surprise, once again an objective has spawned, and that is their cue to group up.
But once again, I think BDS is in a slightly superior position. Adam is already shutting out bot side, already has the teleport available, so while CFO is technically more grouped, they're now just buying space, starting to set up for the Rift Herald. BDS is slowly conceding this, but making them work for it. This pulls rest down to the bot side to catch that wave. Adam's already moving up. They're just doing such a good job of kind of moving around the map as a whole unit.
Classic turn-based League of Legends. You know, both sides fighting for mid-prio. Once their labs are pushed, moving into clear vision. The difference is Adam gets bot push first, and as a result is able to move up first. If they want to contest this, it'll cost the Aatrox TP, but CFO aren't even going to risk that.
Nope.
They'll just concede second Herald, which means mid lane is very likely going to die soon, which is where the game starts to get hard. It's going to be hard to play the game slower once mid lane is down, once that space is opened up on the map.
I have an awful pun I'm trying to workshop in my head right now about a concession stand, but like giving things away. But then I realized you pay for things at a concession stand.
You do. It's kind of weird. English is weird.
Yeah, I don't think it makes... I thought for a second my brain wasn't working. I'm like, I don't think this language makes sense.
No, yeah. English isn't terrible.
I'm like, they're recalling, they're going to the concession stand to give them, but then
They're
BDS isn't paying.
conceding a lot of things.
And
is the
BDS is
sentiment.
not paying.
Imagine he said something really clever that involved some play on the word
It's Mad
conceding.
Libs casting. You at home fill in the blanks of the clever thing I said.
Write your own hype call. I'll just be silent during the next fight.
Find your favorite hype call and just play it over the rest of this game.
BDS are adjectiving towards Dragon.
They're setting up the noun.
I feel like we're also dating ourselves because like there's going to be some generation of people who have not ever experienced a Mad Lib and have no idea what we're talking about right now.
No.
All right, there's the MACH ult. It's slow, it's steady. It has engaged the fight, but they don't want to follow up because BDS did not step into it. And this is the tricky part of this game. And it goes Sheo fishing, trying to find the jungler. Immediately they're just going to burn down the MACH. Bam! Down goes one. BDS now looking to follow up. CFO, can they look to turn this? Ulti already down. Rest in the midst of the team. Unstoppable now. Adam throwing it back into the rest of the team. The leap in from ShiauC. Shunn on the backside just now getting in. He's at least going to be able to take out Labrov. That is one. CFO firing back. But they just don't have enough in the tank. They lose their jungler before the fight even starts. So they can only get one in return. Support. Traded for support, jungler, mid lane, dragon, and now tier 1 tower. It is a terrible trade deal.
Now BDS come out way ahead this time around. Nice play out of them after seeing the Maokai ultimate timeout. It was as the Baron was dropping, it was already too late to try and use the Maokai ultimate as a means to charge forward. That is one of the offensive use cases. It kind of buys you the space if you drop it and run forward. The Dragon's gone. Once that time's out, Sheo finds his angle to land this ultimate. Here you'll see it down, just this pullback kind of burst damage from Crownie having so many feathers on the ground combined with the smite and everything means that there's no time for CFO to contest. And then they feel bad for grouping up and giving away third dragon, so they're not quite sure if they want to fight this, use, kind of hover in the river for Prio to get the push mid, but that means that Shunn's not here. Huge play out of Sheo to instantly blow him up. JimieN also panic flashing away, not sure if that was going to hit him or not. And this gives the rest of BDS the chance to charge forward. I appreciate ShiauC going in here and trying to save Rest's life. It also does set up Shunn for finding that kill, but I am not sure what JimieN saw there. Trying to find that kill.
Fast recall timer.
Get back to base faster, true.
Flash out from Gemini. Adam finds the pullback here. Not that we have struggled to find reasons to praise BDS this game, but again, credit to them. The second Shunn walked into mid lane, they pulled the trigger on the engage. The second the Kai'Sa walked away for even a moment, that was the time they chose to go forward, and that is the kind of stuff that can define team fights. Spotting that moment of weakness where the AD carry is trying to push out mid. Labrov, though, could be in trouble here. He needs to hit one more to secure the pullback. He does! Q2, Q1, and Q3 all connecting. Labrov making it out of the wall. Crownie could now be in trouble. Shunn has used the ultimate already. Retreat coming through. TP coming in from Adam. Double TP. Adam looking for the setup. Ulti available. They have to be careful about grouping up too much here. Poke's already coming in. Keeping this play going. Not a bad idea. Flash out from Sheo. CFO. How much more can they get out of this?
Oh, this is one of those frustrating plays where you've done so much work so correctly, but do not get any gold for it. You've got a ton of summoners out. That's double teleport and multiple flashes burn, as well as the ultimate out of Labrov. So well played by CFO, but doesn't actually get them anything to really help get back in the game. And most of this is a pressure relief, unless you can really use your teleport advantage now to find a setup to then actually convert into gold. Really liked the attempt there. Rest in particular letting multiple big chains and Qs to set up the rest of the team, but just not able to lock anyone down long enough for the kill.
I'm thankful every day that they didn't name all 3 Aatrox Qs something different.
I don't even know the name of the actual ability. It's Darkened Blade Smash.
Yeah, that's right. Do you know Felios has unique ability names for every single one?
Yes, I do know that. You know how many of them I know?
None of them.
Correct.
As you should. It's too much.
The Darkened Blade is Q. You know what?
You should have stuck with the
sarcastically very close.
Smash. Yeah, no.
I threw Smash on the end as a joke because I was like, there's no way it's just Darkened Blade. And you know what?
It's the Darkened Blade.
Shame on me.
You need a name that encompasses all of the different actions he does with the blade. He sweeps, he flips, he pokes, prods. It's a very all-encompassing skill.
I just call it Marth techniques. F smash,
tipper,
down tilt.
Actually, I haven't appreciated enough how we've been calling it the tipper is actually.
It's strictly a Marth term in my head.
Yeah, it is strictly a Marth term, but it's also sick. Any Smash League overlap we can get is dope. As long as it's not Minecraft Steve, I'm happy.
I'll look for more crossovers. I don't know how successful I'll be.
Yeah. Sheo, walking up. Nothing gonna happen. Just a bunch of beefy bros hanging out, hitting each other once or twice and walking away.
Bunch of beefcakes hanging out in a river.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
It's a fight club. Yeah, for sure. Just ripped, just turbo-jacked.
That's me, man.
That's me.
For sure. Did not spend 36 hours straight in a bed.
Yep, playing Baldur's Gate.
Couldn't be me.
Nope. We've touched grass. Adam now touching Rest. Rest needs to back up. Again, prodding with the Q here. CFO getting a lot of work done. Stop laughing, Mark. I have to guess. Labrov going to be forced to ult early once again. A little bit caught out of position here. Rest ulting potentially prematurely. 2 seconds till the objective spawns. Labrov getting pulled back now. Having ult for the fight is big. This is a decent angle for CFO.
A lot of poke landed. This is exactly what we're talking about when you're able to get the position with this composition.
Fantastic setup. Shunn getting the ult out early. Crownie forced to flash into safety. Easy Drake pickup. This is the patience. This is the discipline we wanted to see from CFO. Finding their angles. In goes ShiauC, but no one's there. But the shot blast! He finds the angle. JimieN taking out the carry. The Dragon was already guaranteed, but getting the shutdown on Crownie as well is massive for CFO. BDS, do they have a response?
I thought ShiauC lost his mind when he went in there. Shunn had already ulted. I was wondering where the follow-up was coming, and it was from downtown. JimieN landing that snipe, finding that kill, stopping sole point from BDS. If there was one fight they needed to win this game so far, this was it, and when it mattered most, CFO has done it. And this makes a little string of plays now where CFO has come out ahead. There was that fight where they forced all those summoners earlier. This time around, getting in here, forcing out Labrov early, one of the main frontline members, getting Crownie's flash and ultimate out there, because otherwise you would have been hit by the Maokai ultimate that was coming in. And then here, on the same page with the rest of the team, that coordination you love to see with a composition like this, setting up the Jace for the free shock blast, landing that one was huge.
Yeah, massive gold injection on now only a 2K difference between the teams. Still have to be careful, have to be disciplined here. Labrov caught out in that exchange. Caught out twice now over the last few exchanges. Rest involved in both. Really has his number.
I think Rest is like low-key kind of winning them the game with this Aatrox play.
I mean, the Infernal Chains have been good. He's been connecting the Qs necessary to hit confirm that ability, and yeah, it's solid.
Yes, again here, Labrov forced low, tries to go in. Rest interrupts the headbutt pulse combo, forces the ult out, and once again, BDS are having to back off these kind of grouped up situations where the poke composition's coming out way ahead.
And when we talk about this composition, we did expect maybe more of an AP Kai'Sa, but the strength of Jace and Kai'Sa poke is there. It is real. We'll be a little bit strong once the Nashers come through, just so there's some AP there available for the Kai'Sa, but CFO, if they can keep it slow, if they can play it slow, find these little picks, find these little opportunities, take BDS to half health before a fight starts, they can certainly take a lot of these exchanges. But BDS have not spotted this vision. Have opted to just full try to commit to this play and this objective.
Some nice poke again from JimieN landing, already putting Crownie at half health and just breaking this play up with a single shock blast. BDS forced back, like you said, trying to catch them on recall timers. They don't hate the idea, but the vision clear, not quite there. One more in the pit that was not spotted out. And now this once again gives CFO the inside track.
Nuke, pushback coming through. Nuke still caught on the edge of it. Flat forward coming from Gemini. Gemini in no man's land right now, but instantly the rest of the team collapses. Shunn coming in. JimieN gonna grab the kill. Rest in the midst of everybody. They need to burn through the Aatrox before he can heal. The stun now coming in. The follow-up is there. Rest not gonna make it over the wall with the flash. Gets pulled back, turns it into the fail flash. BDS coming out on top. 2-for-1 trade. Jungle top traded for the mid laner of BDS.
Looking like they want to force on the Baron now, given that there's no smite contest. It's still going to be a tough take to make, but maybe they can force them in and get some more kills out of CFO here.
Battering strike just stunning. Low health bars, but again, Crownie 2.5 items. Shreds this objective, just needs a bit more time. Sejuani as well, just consistently proccing that E. JimieN waiting over the wall.
Low mana too.
Crownie getting lower. Shunn does a lot of damage, doesn't have a lot of mana. Adam instantly gonna go for the Haymaker, just trying to buy space for the rest of the team just to secure the Baron, and it pays off. The entire team distracted for a brief moment, and that's all they need to drop the Executioner's axe. It's a double for the Jace, most certainly, with the Baron in favor of BDS.
I love seeing this aggressive play out of BDS. This was one of the biggest complaints in their loss against Team Wales. Once their game plan had been disrupted in that first series, they backed off, they started to concede everything, and they seemed to have no reaction. But here, even though CFO started this fight very well, I actually even like kind of the 1-for-1 trade where Gemini is going to drop killing Nuke here. Maybe you can fall back and grab mid lane turret. Rest just feels himself a little bit too much, feeling like he can make this play. And the pullback, getting the panic flash, because he was against the wall, Adam repositioning him so he does not end up getting out there, gives them the space to just go ahead and force this Baron. Even though Crownie is getting poked, the team's not panicking, they're laser focused. Adam is just buying space, making sure that Crownie is free to hit the Baron until they finish that one off there. And now Crownie can refocus down the members of CFO.
Well played overall. And credit to JimieN for they're able to grab the double on the back of that, but that is BDS willingly giving Adam's life, willingly throwing Labrov in there just to stop any potential of their carries going down or of the Baron getting stolen. The Baron getting stolen. Ooh, English today. Struggle.
We're getting there. It's only been 30-something years of it.
Yeah. Oof. We're getting older. This Baron buff also running out. Red Bull Baron power play not looking too juicy quite yet, as there were a lot of kills traded around that objective.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where half your team ends up dying to secure it. It's not the cleanest Baron, but I think ultimately still the right call to force that down. You get the influx of gold, you get the objective off the map. Now you have map pressure, given that the Dragon is spawning in 40 seconds. That will still be up during the time period that you have the Baron buff. So you get to corral CFO into their side of the map, start getting vision control down, and then fall back onto the Dragon to try and take this one away.
And Mountain Soul
is good
against a team that is mostly lethality or AD champions. It's very good, I would go so far as to say. It's not quite Ocean against Poke champions, but it is damn good. And CFO's life is only going to get harder here. They've done pretty well in the last few minutes to find these windows opportunities that they were pretty reticent to take earlier in the game, but it just might not be enough in the face of a Mountain Soul.
No, I mean, especially with how many members can stack some form of resist. You already have your top side of the map, Labrov as well. Is, you know, mostly building supportive items, but there'll be some resist tacked onto those as well. And here we go. Soul is up and available for BDS.
CFO waiting over the wall. BDS again can take their time a bit with this one, but they don't really have wave prio anywhere, so this isn't quite as commanding of a setup as they would like. This will just be a full-on 5v5, so you try to take it, JimieN. Oh, good poke.
He is holding that ability for eyes on Crownie. There was a stun onto one of the frontline members. I think it was Sheo off of ShiauC's Q that I thought maybe he was going to hit, but he just waited. He's holding these until he sees Crownie somewhere and can begin to poke him out. He knows DPS is not the goal here. It's the importance of the damage landing on backline members mostly.
Yeah, and that's why Crownie's going to back off and just focus on burning down the Gromp, get a bit more lifesteal. Going in on the engage, just trying to force Adam right into the back line, looking for the pullback with the Haymaker. Massive damage onto Shunn, has zoned him out completely from the fight. The Mountain Soul comes through. JimieN on the back line. What can he get done? Shock Blast comes down, feathers have flown, they're going in onto Crownie. Crownie gonna try to pull the feathers back, but he just gets one shot. Shunn is still standing, JimieN is still standing. Can the carries of CFO make it happen? Nuke is cut down. CFO find a way to take the fight. Labrov taken out. Gemini on the back of Sheo. Sheo the only one to get away. The soul in favor of BDS, but the fight for CFO.
It started a little slow, but this game is turning into a banger. Adam gives his life up to buy space to grab the soul, but JimieN was untouched on the backside. They're able to wipe that fight and now grab a ton of objective bounties that have spawned and slingshot themselves actually ahead in gold. So one team has the Oceans, the Mountain Soul here. Gonna take another look at it as you see them understand the objective here. Grab, dunk, focus Adam down, make them all worried about him so we can grab this objective. But during this time period, they are just melting him down. Now it's a 4v5. And the question is, how do we get out of here? Crownie a little bit panicked with that ultimate a little bit early. That Q was not gonna land from JimieN, and that allows Gemini to find his target, finish him down. They've done such a good job of finding the backline members first. Nuke was the next to fall, and then they just continue chasing through from there.
Yeah. And you can see there, the Acathian Reigns, the Kaisa Q empowered, doing a ton of work. Able to catch out Nuke there on the side of the fight. Kaisa 1 auto, 4.2k damage. We talk about this build falling off compared to other versions of Kaisa, and it's certainly true when it comes to shredding tanks. But for Nuke, who has no armor at this stage of the game, outside of what little bonuses are provided, you know, by the shield of the Mountain Soul, you know, it's going to struggle, as is Crownie in some of these fights. Whew. Win probability, of course, powered by AWS here, is have similar ups and downs to us casting this series, I think it's safe to say. Is it entirely BDS winning the game? Is it CFO coming back? At this point in the game, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's all execution. As strong as the Mountain Soul is, CFO have fought tooth and nail to bring themselves back into this game.
Yeah, this is such a hard game to predict because if CFO can land their poke, they're starting these fights at half health. You talked about the burst potential from this lethality Kaisa. She finds a good target, gets on top of them. You know, are they assassins or are they poke? They're kind of both right now, and that's what makes it hard to say exactly how this is going to go. I think CFO has done largely pretty good in the team fights recently, which makes me a little scared for BDS, but the scaling is so good for BDS, and now with the shield, you think as long as they are able to find clean engages, they should be in the position to win this one.
It's true. And again, when you have wave prio, when you push in these waves, when you could back off and head straight to the objective, the poke isn't quite as scary. Certainly, if CFO are able to get priority, their poke is going to make sieging so easy. So BDS have to be careful about risking anything around the Baron. Using this opportunity to send Crownie top, presumably to maybe just get a bit more gold, or maybe he's just trying to spot the flank.
I think it was maybe grabbing the red buff as well that just might have got taken. Either way, they're leaving Adam in the top side to mostly do the pushing, grouping as 4 mid, and I feel like we're going to have a lot of poke battles going on here. Adam with a flank.
CFO has to be careful. Walking into this pinch is always a bit of a difficult proposition. Rest now going to be forced to escape. Gemini using the ult to disengage. CFO, will they take this opportunity to go back in? Good play by BDS. Seeing a potential weakness, stepping forward, getting some cooldowns out of CFO. Not over-committing to the play, not stepping too far into that choke point.
I think you're seeing the power of the Mountain Soul starting to show up here. Sheo has taken Shock Blast after Shock Blast and just now hits 50% HP. And so the pressure for CFO to find the squishier members is becoming more and more important.
Yeah. I think it is important to note, though, you highlighted it earlier, Jace and Kai'Sa both, if ever left alone. We get used to looking at Jace as a poke champion in pro play, and I think that's certainly the easiest version of him. But if he finds a flank or an isolated carry, he one-taps Nuke or Crownie pretty effortlessly. That said, BDS just one-tapped the Baron, and CFO were not in a position to respond. Is this their time? Will they step forward now? BDS just need to back away, and this is what's tricky for CFO. So often it just feels like it's been too little too late when it comes to these engages. The poke continuing to land, but the Shock Blast doesn't connect, and I think the play has already fizzled. Sheo stepping forward just to make sure they body block, and now BDS want to turn, knowing that the entire team is split. Massive healing comes in for the Aatrox, but it's just not enough. Crownie finding the kill on the CFO top.
Yeah, they gave up on the chase, and that is exactly when BDS turns that one around, finds the free kill on Rest, who was stepping too far forward. Shunn had already backed off more towards the mid lane, and BDS showing a nice level of control this game. First off, like you said, in terms of getting the Baron basically for free after trading a number of ults. And then here, the rest of the team, you can see, had already given up on the play. JimieN lands a ton of damage onto Crownie, but no one else is really around. If you had the ability to maybe jump on top of him, you could start trading out here, but the rest of the play had given up, or the rest of the team had given up on the play, excuse me.
Yeah. And there's two things happening here in these fights that's cool to observe and also frustrating, I think, if you're a CFO fan. One is, you know, CFO not feeling full confidence to just pull the trigger on these small windows of opportunities. But also BDS, credit to them, after their loss, feel like they are playing so much more disciplined. They just back off. If there's not a reason for them to fight or they don't have an excellent angle, they just walk away. And CFO, once that Maokai ult's gone, ShiauC just has to give his life to force a play, and that's not a risk CFO are willing to take.
I think there's a lot of learnings from this game, not to get too far ahead of it, because of course, while BDS is in a controlling position, we have seen CFO win some surprising fights already, but I think they are being punished a little bit for their lack of activity in the earlier portions of the game.
Sheo now stepping in, Shunn untouched on the backside for now, trying to auto-attack, but he can only hit the front line. Crownie has to be careful about the thorns. He's going to get locked up. CFO now the ones to retreat, the ones to pull back, continuing to try to leverage their poke here. Rest stepping forward onto Adam. 2 Qs connecting, confirming the third. Shunn just executing him there. Solid advantage for CFO. They need to keep this going in their favor. Elder is up and available. BDS, do they feel confident enough to take it? Poke now coming in. Kai'Sa W won't connect. That's big. Cooldown very long at this stage.
No Adam for 40 seconds. Doesn't have TP on res either. ShiauC will be up in 10. We'll see if BDS want to force this one down. A little risky, but they're going for it.
Focusing on burning it down. Labrov just throwing down the Ignite early. Immediately going to go in, finding 3 on the pole. Rest on the backside. Elder in favor of BDS. This is absolutely their fight. CFO need to pull a rabbit out of the hat. They need a miracle. But again, hesitation plaguing this team across the entire game.
And on the flip side, BDS committing to the aggressive mentality now here in losers bracket. Labrov giving up his life there, getting the 3-man pulverize to buy space for Sheo to get that free smite. Gemini did get over the wall, but could not actually get it here. You know, like you were saying about ShiauC being the first one in, here's the danger of it. He gets melted if his engage has not actually landed on the damage dealers of BDS. Yeah. He gets exploded, but you see the danger of chasing a CFO team composition where anyone who gets caught out of position can kind of get exploded. Adam here is just vaguely split from the rest of the team, and Shunn and him just melt Adam completely down. And then this is the aggressiveness, though. Despite it being a 4v4, despite how risky this can be, Labrov trying to stop Gemini from getting in. He still gets into the pit, but this is such an improvement in the mentality of BDS than we had seen just a couple days ago, where they took everything so slow. Here, they are looking to actively win the game.
No, full committing to the play. Even if, you know, timing might not have been perfect, Gemini still found an angle in. They still secure the smite. At the end of the day, that's what's important. Sheo just dances on the tower. Hitting him with the question mark. He's got Warmogs now. Their damage does not matter. Their poke does not matter. And this is the nightmare of every poke composition, is a beefy tank with Warmogs who just gets to laugh in your face and emote. Adam isolated, so potentially an opportunity here, just getting the early flash out from him. But again, Sheo just continues to tank the tower. He's having a good old time. BDS stepping forward. They have the Elder, they have the Soul. Fight is very heavily in their favor. CFO, again, will need to look for a miracle at this stage of the game. 44 seconds left till Elder falls away. That might be a window of opportunity to force the fight, but Gemini ulting with no backup whatsoever, just maybe hoping to delay the push a bit longer. 30 seconds left on Elder.
Yeah, even this damage poked onto Crownie is not sticking any longer. The lifesteal keeping him easily topped up.
Focusing the objective, focusing the tower. The pull-in from ShiauC is big. Instantly one member isolated. Shunn managed to find the angle on the backside. That's the GA burn. Crownie's gonna get absolutely one-tapped by this Jace. Easy pickings. CFO, in the blink of an eye, they see their opportunity. They pull the trigger. Hesitation gone. When it is do or die, they have found a way. They have showed up. It is Nuke versus the world. Nuke manages to get one. Elder Dragon.
Oh,
not
the burn!
Shunn! Oh! As the buff fades away, the tower will still do its work. JimieN on the top side. Can they make this happen? Have they stolen a victory from the jaws of defeat? We will have to see. Do they have the time? I think they do.
I don't know if they do. They have 30 seconds. JimieN melts turrets with the empowered W. If Rest or Shunn had stayed alive, I think this was game, but Nuke might have saved it. There's 10 seconds on Labrov, who will absolutely have to run in, try and delay this from being any worse. We'll see if they back off after the inhibitor. There's no way they can do this.
What the hell did we just watch? That's the power of this composition, that single moment. Crownie mispositioned for a second. Watch this frickin' Kai'Sa damage.
He was feeling what I was feeling. I'm safe, I'm good, but with the plasma stacks on him, that is when they find the angle. Instantly popped with the penetration build, and his spawn is just being camped. They instantly blow him up. Gemini with a nice timed Q to make sure he couldn't do anything. And then here, the savior, Nuke, Rest, chasing forward, wanting to get this reset here, this flash out, getting some damage down to finish him off, and then the turret getting Shunn. If either one of those two guys lived, I think they meet up with JimieN in the bot side of the map, and they probably try and end the game.
Game of inches now. Credit to CFO. Again, I think they're going to look back to this game and know that they could have done so many things better, but it's a tall task. Can they bring it back? Another Baron for BDS, essentially secured. Not really an angle here, but will be an angle to force a fight. JimieN continuing to poke on the backside. Labrov already ulting. Sheo isolating one, but not a priority target. Shunn just hoping to find an angle onto these carries. Labrov steps up again, but it might cost him his life. The ulti's going to fade away. Can they punish? Flashing out to safety. BDS got what they came for, though. The Baron, they can just back away.
The nice thing about BDS is they've done so much work through the early portions of the game. They're reaping the rewards here, able to get there early. They have so much map pressure from these inhibitors being down. They have so much extra stats available from the dragons that they've taken. And despite how close Labrov got, the fact that he lost his flash there, they no longer really need a flash Alistair combo to set up and win the game. Hopefully they can just go down bot lane now with these super creeps and the Baron buff on, sit on this, get the third inhibitor, and then force CFO to once again try and find a miracle play onto the back line.
And this, again, I've said it too many times this game about the victory lap. BDS are heavily favored. In theory, all you need to do is break open that inhibitor.
Oh, they've won the game, Dracos. Don't worry. I'm not caster cursing them.
No,
this is all
just,
but the singing is done.
I know. When the Chonky lady sings, we'll get there. But I'm nervous for BDS. CFO, can they find the angle? Can they bring it back? It would be one of the most miraculous turnarounds we've seen in play-ins. Require near flawless execution. Another opportunity for redemption if they can try and turn and take this game. But for now, BDS barreling into their base. Ulti going wide from Sheo.
Nuke is hurting so much, able to force Rest back just with a couple autos and Qs from his Sand Soldiers. Rest goes back to the fountain, heals back up. That buys the space for the third inhibitor to drop. BDS now, nothing really else to fall back for. You could go for the Elder Dragon, but that's just going to give space for them to clear these minions out. I like the idea of just syncing your waves, getting 3 Baron buffed up, super creep waves pushed in at the same time.
BDS walking forward. Need to keep it together. If they stay disciplined, this should just be their win, but they're trying to find an opportunity. Nuke blocked up for a brief moment, but there's no immediate fall. JimieN trying to look for the angle. ShiauC in, but it's too little. It is too late. The carries of BDS remain standing. JimieN will not be enough. The blade coming through, but at the end of the day, it is Crownie tearing through the entire team. Rest running for the hills, and BDS taking a commanding win in game 1, despite some hiccups on the journey.
CFO made them work for it, but BDS was able to close this one out off of superior objective play, securing all the Barons, almost all the Dragons, not losing that smite. Sheo coming up clutch there to get that Elder Dragon. And despite one little misstep in the base by Crownie, giving a momentary opportunity for life there, for the most part, BDS did control the majority of that game.
Yeah. And credit to CFO for finding a couple of the opportunities that they did, but I think now that they didn't win the game, you have to kind of bring in the magnifying lens and talk about why did so many of those windows of opportunity that people might have seen go wrong? Was it something that BDS did well to deny it to you? Was it something in your comp that was lacking? Or was it individual players? Was it the confidence wasn't there to pull the trigger, to jump in on these small windows of opportunity? Because you saw the single fight in mid lane. When it went well, it went really well. But that was about the only fight that they found in that game that was convincing.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really hard-fought game from CFO. I wonder if they did more in the early game. If that early dive had gone right, maybe you can have a better angle here, because they were going toe-to-toe in the team fights. As well as BDS was playing, I think CFO's team fighting was up to match it. And it's about more who gets the early advantages so that they can have more breathing room in close team fights.
Yeah. Not a lot of breathing room for CFO. We'll see if they can breathe new life into this series in Game 2. For now, we're going to send it back over to Trevor at the desk.
Ooh, my
Trevor that I'm worried
word.
about.
I have been aged a decade in that game. I mean, look, we don't even know. Cameron doesn't even know where we are. BDS started so well.
Oh, they did.
And it looked so convincing.
Yep.
And then it got so bad. And then it looked so great. I mean, okay, hold on. Let's just start with the fact that BDS almost threw this entire game inside Flying Oyster's base. Gulborg, I'm going to come to you. Catch your breath. Try to fix your hair, my man. What on earth happens?
Well, we got just introduced to a lot of lethality. I don't even know if this was the correct build for the Kaiser. I really don't think it was, but just getting isolated on Crownie, who's stepping forward, you see why he can be good against squishies. Only problem is, of course, there's not a lot of squishies outside of just the carries there, and the desk was highlighting it. I mean, Nuke really saving them here. It's debatable how many of them would actually have been able to make it to the base and end the game from here on out. But the fact that it still stalls it out, and the fact that that fight was still as close as it was. Thank you, I can fix my hand now. That'd be very nice. Oh,
because we almost pulled it out. I mean,
Appreciate
Rez, you were screaming just as loud as we were in
Yes.
terms of BDS and how they played throughout the game. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that they got that Elder Dragon. There was a few dragons that went awry. Obviously, for everyone watching home, we're going to start some of the most exciting moments. We'll go earlier in the game. Break down this Elder fight for me as well.
Yeah, this one was tough because it started with an invade. They had a good angle, to be fair, right? They were able to get the pick on ShiauC, but they lingered too long. And this is the benefit of a poke comp. If you're sticking in the enemy jungle for a little bit longer than you should, indecisive, then that's multiple Kai'Sa Ws. The Jace EQ, and by the way, that's double Q because you have the lethality and CDR to be able to spit out a lot.
Yeah, and you know, Adam had already used the Haymaker there, so he didn't have that as a backup. I think really good decisive shot calling here from BDS.
Yes.
Starting that Elder Drake before they can group on the side of CFO. Feathers are stacked. Labrov is doing a good job at flashing in to make sure that Gemini can't just get into the pit immediately. And then with the Feathers and the Smite combined, they're able to take the Elder Drake. This, if that goes over to Gemini and you're playing against a Kai'Sa Jace Pokemon, that might as well just be the game. These late game team fights are honestly mind-boggling.
Yeah, and you could see how, you know, indecisive is the word, just because they have a lot of tools to engage, but they're always worried about, okay, but Crownie is getting hit by Shock Blast into Kai'Sa W, which is respect to Shunn, because he's been landing a ton of them. And so they realize very quickly, you know, Alistar needs to be able to be in between, so he's getting chunked a lot.
Right place at the right time. There's a few moments where he wasn't, but for the most part.
Just quite thankful you got that Mountain Drake as well with the Soul.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that did so much against that composition. So a bit of a luck with the Drake roll too there, but something that they probably heavily...
Importantly as well, regardless of what Elemental Drake it was, the first two dragons were secured by 18 minutes by BDS, right? We'll get to the early game in a moment. Let's take a look at that final team fight as well as the post-game breakdown, so you can really get a sense of just how up and down this was. But once you got double Super Spawning and Baron minions, you do feel like this fight is very difficult to mess up.
Yes, very calm, which a lot of teams do mess up in the tournament. So they had 3 stacking waves with Baron buff minions. They recognize they need to play it front to back because the minions will do the work for them. So I actually really enjoyed this one. They actually left the cannon minion in mid lane for a little while longer because they realized that both side lane minions would crash at the same time. So that was a big thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I mean, that play right there with 3 inhibs down, Baron up minions, that's the play that you can't screw up whatsoever. But you can see why the game got a bit close in this post-game breakdown, because it was absolutely BDS just running away with it. And with their comp, you also feel like they should not be able to lose it. But then slowly but surely, they started losing grasp on the game. and then they fought their way back into
And
it.
the thing is, I want to highlight, Draco's ended the call by saying it was a commanding win, and I think this game was defined by BDS. I feel that they were in control, they were in command. The mistakes that happened, I feel, are attributed to BDS. And when you look at how the early game started, they outplayed the tower dive.
Yes.
They set a proactive kills onto ShiauC as well as invading the jungle. They got 3 dragons by 18 minutes. That is the strongest early game we've seen out of BDS thus far at Worlds.
Yeah, the first dive should never be a thing in a level 2 Alistar.
absolutely
it makes
not.
no sense to me. But this was great from BDS, recognizing that was a great timing by ShiauC to look for visions, and they were able to pick him off, look for a bot lane dive. This is how Crownie got set up early, and that's a little bit of great prep and planning from the team prior to the game, and also just great execution within it.
And also, please do take a look at this table. If you look at the highlighted images, the brighter ones, that was the goal difference in game 1. Look at the difference how Sheo, Crownie, Labrov, all positive. The previous average goal difference is these sort of like more opaque options from previously we showed earlier in the day. It's one game, it's not exactly 100% fair, but importantly, it's showing that the team has improved from the challenges they had before.
No, I think it's very important as well when you take into context that Shunn and ShiauC had statistically been one of the best bot lane in the early game as well, and that didn't show this time around. I think this was probably the most important matchup in the bot lane where Crownie and Labrov stepped up, and I'm hoping we see more of it, because this time around, they had playmaking, they had a champion that's actually S tier, and they ran away with it for themselves.
Just found out Flying Oyster have selected blue side. Now, let's take a breath, we step away. I think that BDS, again, were in control majority of the game. I do think some of the mistakes you can attribute to them. I think as well, lucky with the Mountain Drake. I think a little bit lucky that it was the penetration build coming from Kai'Sa, so a little bit blocked up by their front line. What happens in game 2? Because that was still very close, and BDS, and multiple times, could have lost their thing. Final thoughts here as we go.
Personally, I thought you could see from 20 minutes onwards the value of JimieN on the Jace and the composition working out. That was a beautiful poke comp. They made really weird mistakes in the early game that put them in that position. I think you run a comp like this if you get the chance again. Don't change too much and just have a better early game. Exactly.
GB?
No, I completely align.
There we go. That does it for us. We're going to head to a break. When we come back, it's game 2. If BDS win, they advance to that qualification series, or we go to game 3. Somebody's throwing a pen. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Do not throw your notepad. Why are you throwing your notepad? Why are we throwing notepads?
Trapped on the turret, no teleports available. Shunn, Cleanse coming out a little bit early here. Feathers fly, Feathers come right back.
Yeah. If you see it, go. Go, nice.
I got the friend,
Crownie getting lower. Shunn does a lot of damage, doesn't have a lot of mana. Adam instantly going to go for the Haymaker, just trying to buy space for the rest of the team just to secure the Baron, and it pays off. The entire team distracted for a brief moment, and that's all they need.
We're fighting jungle now, okay? We're fighting jungle. Look, go ahead. Kill it. She's dead. Fight.
Bringing in a new roommate to save money, is that the plan?
Say hi to Glenn from work.
Yeah, I think I have a much better plan. We switched to my plan from Verizon.
That is a good plan. Glenn.
Get my plan starting at just $25 when you bring your own phones. Plus, save when you add perks like the Disney Bundle. It's your Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hello, and
What's
welcome
up?
back
What up?
to Worlds 2023.
It's your boys.
It's your boys. We
Back at it again.
back at it again for another cast. How you doing?
Great.
Feeling good at home?
Oh,
If you're
not
BDS
you're not
fan.
asking me.
Probably feeling great. If you're a CFO fan, you're probably like, why don't you push your buttons more? And I get that. And that's what we're going to see if it changes coming into Game 2. Credit to BDS. It wasn't the flashiest way to play a game of League of Legends, but it was clean. It was controlled. It was disciplined, and it was exactly what we kind of expected their composition to do.
Yeah, there's been I was scrolling Twitter as I often do between breaks, and there's a question of, was that a commanding win or not? Was a debate that people were having, and it's hard to say because from a win probability perspective, if you pulled that up, they were almost always in control of the entire game.
Yeah,
they would have control of almost every moment of that game, barring the moment where they almost could have lost the game in that one team fight. So you say, yes, they could have lost the game. How is that possibly a commanding win? But at the same time, from pure minutes spent in control, BDS commanded.
BDS were winning for 70% of that game, 80% of that game.
Yeah, exactly. Even, I would say, like, probably 95%.
Yeah.
Because they turned that gank around the bot side early on. They weathered the one couple aggressive plays that CFO made and then controlled the rest of the game from there. And from that perspective, it was commanding, yes. From the perspective of they did lose multiple team fights, and maybe if CFO was slightly more even in neutral objectives, they easily could have lost that game. So it's kind of a Schrodinger's commanding game.
I appreciate you defending my final call because I think
I'll go to war for you.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is.
Damn.
Am I making any sense? I don't care. It's not my. It's not what I'm doing. But anyways, the point being, in all honesty, they controlled that game for 95% of it, even if there was that one moment where they could have lost.
And okay, regardless of commanding or not, this is something that CFO need to address because I think this is why we're seeing the pivot specifically to the Sejuani here, where they say, hey, look, this Maokai ult, champion's been out for too long. People understand how this thing works. They just back up, and we have no other follow-up engage past Sorel. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see ShiauC again on some proactive engage champion, as pretty standard in this meta. I wouldn't mind seeing a hug champion, but I just don't know how likely it is. Paired with Sejuani, it's going to be a lot easier to force fights. That said, doesn't mean conceding kind of the safest blind pick top laner at the moment, which is the Renekton. You mentioned it in the first game. Not a lot of people are super psyched about the Renekton, but we've talked about it a lot behind the scenes, Mark. I mean, it's just a champion who does so much pretty reliably and is almost always useful to some degree.
Yeah, there's it's like a B tier pick in almost every entire situation. Sometimes A, maybe never S. There's very rare times where it's like, this is such a sick Renekton angle, because everything is technically kind of a Renekton angle. Yeah. You can often find champions who do slot into that angle better than Renekton, but then those champions often have more necessities to play them correctly or get value out of them, or it's higher risk reward. And especially with the current itemization and meta, the Renekton is a very, very powerful pick. And you can see Rest going for the Aatrox again. That worked out well for him. I'm surprised to see this Sejuani takeaway, honestly. I thought the Maokai was fine. I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought their level 3 gank was just over-ambitious, and then they didn't do anything for 25 minutes as BDS stacked dragons and then fought from behind. So that was more like a decision-making problem to me than a comp problem. And I'm surprised to see them go away when the core of the comp was left up. They could have gone Jace again. I thought JimieN's Jace was pretty good. Yeah. It was just, again, the issue of now there's 3 frontline members with a Mount Soul.
Once BDS are allowed to push waves in group as 5 and the tanky units can stand in front of the squishy backline, it just gets harder and harder to land meaningful poke. That was the reality of the situation. Perhaps why we're seeing the Kai'Sa prioritize here over the Jace, wanting to see these compositions develop. With Kai'Sa taken away, there are no prio 80 carries left. Right now, the prio 80 carries are essentially just Kai'Sa and Xayah in the eyes of many. So that's why you're seeing Nuke pick up the Azir here, guaranteeing some control in the mid lane. And in general, this is a champion that has just very high guaranteed output later stages of the game, as long as he doesn't get picked off. So BDS, again, some safety, some stability in their draft. Nothing really crazy coming through here yet for either side, to be honest.
Yeah, Nuke honestly saved that game. When we talk about the opportunity for CFO to have won that, it was off Crownie kind of disrespecting the possibility of getting jumped on. He died with, basically flash ult up. And it was Nuke's heroics on this champion that saved that game, as well as bought them the 3rd inhibitor. He was doing a lot of work on this champion, so no surprise to see him go back to it for a second time.
Yeah, and I think that game was a lot of BDS team effort, so oftentimes to point out the greater successes of individual members, but Nuke a man worth highlighting in that regard. See what the focus is for the bottom side. Ezreal banned away. When you already see Aatrox, Sejuani on the opposite side, I'm not a big fan of worry. I don't care about Ezreal, to be honest. I think what we saw is a similar problem to what we saw with Jace, which is just when they're beefy frontliners to just eat Qs all day, What does Ezreal do compared to the power of a champion like Kai'Sa?
I was chuckling a little bit to myself about whether or not to make the joke of protecting Crownie from Ezreal himself, giving it over.
I mean, to be fair, Kai'Sa's supposed to be the Ezreal counter, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, it's an interesting thing. Like, that was one of the reasons that we saw Kai'Sa pop up again in like the LPL, was that she just jumps on top of Ezreal and Ezreal can never do anything.
In NA, we were even seeing Ezreal taken into Kai'Sa sometimes as well. It did not look fantastic. But I think it seems to be at least agreed upon being one of the... Whoa. We're seeing some Kalista. We saw one Kalista already. It did not look great necessarily. There was one where it was played well, where they were able to use the Faith Call to save an aggressive support multiple times. I think we've maybe seen 2 Kalistas thus far. But it is a high-risk, high-reward champion, and you are a lot more early-game oriented now on the side of BDS than they were in the previous game, where you're having what will hopefully be a winning bot lane and an aggressive top side as well.
And I gotta say, I'm an OEC caster. Obviously, I know BDS very well, but I am really loving what CFO are putting together right now, because this team fights. This team fights a lot. In fact, all of this team fights, and it's Kai'Sa who just gets to dance around on the outside. CFO's comp, very, very, very clear identity. On the opposite side for BDS, we have kind of this baton handover from Kalista early game scaling into Azir late game, which can be very powerful. But I like a composition that does one thing, and it's my favorite when that one thing is push all your buttons and try to kill people.
They looked at the previous game, they said we didn't fight enough, now everyone goes in. We do one thing, jump in now. I like the Alistar takeaway from the perspective of, hey, now you can't combo that with Kalista, one of the more annoying compositions where you have a flying cow hit you in the head, bump you up in the air twice in a row, turn invulnerable basically, or save him from situations. We are flexing the pools a little bit here out of BDS. I'm liking it.
What?
Into Silas is a little questionable sometimes. Silas has a lot of nice ults to steal here.
Silas has a lot of great, and also builds AP, so Maokai ult actually going to hurt. Okay, whoa, this is great. So, I don't need to explain CFO's composition to you. If you've ever played against any of these champions, you understand what they do. They jump at you, and usually if they're ahead of you, they kill you. And if not, you can maybe outplay them and kill them. But the burden of execution feels oftentimes on the person being dove. Kalista Taric, that's out of left field for me. BDS fans, I think, should be sweating, because the track record here to prove that these guys are going to execute well in this lane does not exist this year.
Summer split, no games on Kalista or Taric. This is a composition that you do see. It does function, to be fair. You can pick up the Taric so that his ultimate is guaranteed to go off. It's one of the problems that you have with Taric sometimes is the timing of it, and maybe Taric gets exploded because you're doing it on reaction on getting jumped on, and the Kalista can basically guarantee, assuming the Kalista's not the one dying, that the Taric ultimate goes off. Plus, sometimes it's even honestly better to throw the Taric where the team is rather than where the enemy is to guarantee you get this ultimate off. It can do some very cool synergistic things. You can also line up your stun if you throw in aggressively so that your E always lands from the knockup from the Fate's Call. There are really cool synergies, but they can be difficult to pull off.
Yeah. Last time we saw this was LEC summer 2020, 3 years ago. Production hopping my ear to give me the fun facts, as much as I'd love to take credit for them. Got a whole team here.
No, you did that.
Happen.
There's no one else. It's you and me. I'm producing this show. The 50+ people working on it suddenly like me less.
That's so crazy that your mic keeps cutting out and you keep saying weird things on broadcast. That's crazy that you're just going to air all that stuff you said off air.
The Baldur's Gate disapprove. Everyone disliked that.
Everyone disliked that. Shout out to the production team. And here we are, into what could be the final game of the series. A bold bet coming in from BDS, showing us something new. Slaying and reviving target.
So it's interesting. I think the Taric ultimate, when you're talking about what CFO's comp wants to do, makes a ton of sense. They're going to jump in. You're going to get an invulnerability, hopefully timed out well. You have this peel from the Maokai, peel from the Azir. There's a lot of things that can deal with CFO's composition if you're really on top of it.
Yeah. And if you can... connect on some of those key abilities. And speaking of connecting, connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive experimentation emote, which looks a little bit like the house is on fire.
It's not a good experiment.
It doesn't seem like the experiment is good. His glasses are cracked.
Oh, you're right. Look
which
at you
is
with the detail.
Maybe how we're going to feel about this game, depending on how this Kalista Taric goes.
Oh, they're walking in. Oh, they're walking
up. Level 1 Oyster, that's all of his value. It's been used up. Crownie flashing out to safety. That's such a fantastic start. Crownie running for his life. Double sums down. First blood. That is the worst possible thing that could happen to BDS. CFO Beautiful level 1.
Oh, it's who gets the kill, too. The fact that it goes on to Shunn. You have Kalista, an early game-oriented champion. You want to get her ahead. You want to play through that lane. Instantly set onto the back foot and comboing that forward onto the blue buff takeaway. Sheo's already reacted, going for a split map situation, but this is just going to make things even worse because this is going to isolate your lanes to the top side and the bot side. Aatrox is happy to soft lose the couple early levels into the reaction early on, but generally speaking, if you're playing this matchup well, it is Aatrox favored, solo queue data-wise at least. So this is something where CFO, a dream start to this game.
Yeah. JimieN level 2 coming through, and again, this lane, like many Azir lanes, be about if you can clear and get access to the wave. For now, the answer is no. Thorn Shield and some Vickies coming through for T-break in mid lane, and bottom side, I don't know what this lane does when it's behind.
It has no summoners available for Kalista.
I'm gonna be honest, I have never won lane against a Kalista in my entire life, so I don't know what this champion does when behind.
Nothing. You save other people.
Oh. That's not good.
No. You can, to be fair, get some levels. Maybe you're okay. You're taking a look at this. Love the aggressiveness out of ShiauC. Committing to the flash, the 4-man, everyone coming in at the same time. JimieN laying the follow-up chains. Getting it stacked up enough. Forcing the cleanse out. The ignite, just such a good chase down. And the fact that somehow Shunn, with everyone else stacked on top, is able to pick up that kill is huge.
It's massive. And it's already representing the philosophy we wanted to see more from CFO, which is just go in.
They have managed to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where level 1 Oyster, obviously, if you instantly one-shot someone, he's a great level 1 champion. You flash, you pull, and that your job is done. If you extend the level 1, he sucks. That's his entire contribution done. So the fact that everyone immediately follows up, zero hesitation, getting the damage down, finding that kill, donating to the perfect person, this is a swimming start for CFO. You can already see almost 1,000 gold in their favor. It doesn't mean a lot because it hasn't been spent yet, and that's something important to keep track of here. This is a potential window of opportunity for Labrov and Crownie to get something done, but of course, who is here to cover? None other than Gemini. Stun sidestepped pretty cleanly. Labrov now going to be in trouble, forced to flash out to safety, and the amount of summoner spells in bot lane is getting lower and lower. The lonely ignite from Labrov, the last one left available.
I was worried about the Hex Flash Headbutt Pulve combo onto Crownie, but was able to stay out of range, so instead they're just getting the flash out of Labrov instead of a follow-up kill, which is a small but important win for BDS in that situation there. But CFO continue to have pressure in the bot lane, and you know, you can still bully maybe after first recall as Adam. Whoa. You can maybe still bully off reset if, you know, Shunn doesn't have a massive item advantage, but you've already wasted a lot of the early potential where you're ideally harassing from level 1, stacking waves, making plays happen repeatedly on the bot side. So we're about to see a 3v3 maybe. Warded out.
Sheo, it's already been warded. Stun connecting on the Oyster. Shunn does a bit of chip damage down. Gemini very powerful. Level advantage. Passive still up and available with both sides. Kind of just posturing.
Yeah. They're trying to get this wave in so you can get the reset. JimieN, though, on the far wraparound. He can maybe get into that brush unseen, or just flash. The wall. That's very aggressive.
They're waiting for the setup. Ward's pinged out. Did they spot him going into the jungle?
I think they might have known he's not in mid lane, at least, since Nuke has gotten enough of a shove here. They might have seen him on the roam. No, that ward was just placed. That would have been after the roam had occurred. So they knew that he was out of there. Knew that this side of the map was overloaded, and they're still doing their best to get this wave in. And on the flip side for CFO, they're able to get resets off during this time. Gemini has already gotten that first back, grabbed his first item, and it's taking more of Sheo's time to make sure this wave actually can get in. And it's still taking a lot of work, and now Gemini is once again showing up in bot lane.
Yeah. And production coming in hot. Let us know they did spot the Sylas, so they had perfect information in that context, or at least partially perfect information. They knew that he was in the jungle, so good ward placement, good diligence from BDS to respect the potential play there. Level 6 coming through for Nuke. Gemini there to Shadow, potentially just to make sure that JimieN can get his level 6, or at least clear the wave and force it in. And after that initial explosive moment, the game has been relatively quiet. That said, while Sejuani is getting camps and shadowing her lanes, Sheo has just been shadowing the lanes, has not gotten many camps whatsoever.
No, and also that gold difference in the bot side has not gotten any better. The CS advantage going heavily in Shunn's favor this time around. He was, as the analyst was highlighting in the pre-show, one of the best performing members, if not the best performing AD carry currently in play-ins, and this is exactly the guy you want with the gold in your pocket, as well as the fact BDS's comp does have tools to deal with CFOs, but it's not like you have a scaling advantage. There's no benefit from falling behind and surviving until mid to late game. Kalista will, of course, start to drop off. Generally speaking, Aatrox will outperform Renekton in the mid to late game, and we saw Rest had a very good performance, honestly, on that Aatrox. So BDS will need to find some ways to make some things happen, I think, to make sure this game doesn't just kind of stall out with a 1 to 2K advantage that slowly grows for CFO.
Certainly, and I think if something's going to be the exception to that rule, it will be the Azir coming in from Nuke, which is a lot of pressure to put on an individual player, but Nuke is a guy who, while he's not always the center of the show, we saw him last game on this Azir, he did make his presence known. He kind of saved the game for BDS because of that hiccup in the mid lane, that big mistake. And has had a couple games, at least in the LEC, one on Jace, a couple on Cassio, where he's really popped off, really almost single-handedly carried those games. Maybe he can look to replicate that here. For now, there's a stolen Maokai ultimate in the hands of Silas.
Yeah, they heard that dragon go down, and I think Sheo was worried about a potential bot dive follow-up, so he has to cross-map through mid lane, through vision, making sure that they can actually contest some of these jungle camps.
Rob landing the stun. Sheo in the area.
Yeah, able to force him out of the jungle there, get the second blue buff spawn for Sheo, and see if he hands it over to Nuke, because like you said, it does feel like a lot of the eggs are in the Nuke basket at this point in time. Adam quietly has done a good job getting a CS lead for himself. Renekton does quite well in the early phases sometimes. Yeah.
This is where it gets a little bit tricky, though. Rest is currently in an item advantage, but Adam making good use of the Fury, trying to backstep, but does get hit by not the sweet spot on the Q2. Did look like he got hit by it, but didn't get knocked up.
Yeah, able to trade ultimates there, but at the end of the day, perfectly happy for both of them to just keep farming up. And Adam has kind of been on what you would call somewhat the strong side in the early levels as he, whoop,
forced to flash away. As the Q3 came through, and Rest certainly could have flash chased if that did connect on its own. Right. Blow a bolt.
Oh, okay.
Hits the Q2, he's gonna hit the Q3. Oh, that's it! For those who don't know, if you hit Q2 or Q2 once they're already chained, you guarantee the Q3.
Rest landing the skills, missed the Q1, but still had enough damage to make it happen. Finds the solo bolo. We were trying to hype up Adam a little bit as maybe being a strong side of the map. Immediate cast your curse into a 2-0 lead for CFO.
Yeah. Just like it's all on Mark Z for producing the show, it's also all his fault as Crownie now trying to make it out to safety, throwing his support back into the mix, running for his life. The ulti going wide, but he's slowed. Just barely able to escape Labrov. They do make it out. CFO burns so many resources, but BDS walk away with their lives, burning everything in return.
That is a highway robbery to get out of there. Crownie living somehow is now Gemini, maybe a little bit too far forward.
Gemini, Q back. Spear over the wall. Crownie going in for the kill. This is madness. ShiauC coming in too. Crownie not quite able to finish the job. Ignite now taking down. Labrov held that one for so damn long. They need to take out ShiauC, but the ult coming in just in time. The stun connecting. Nuke going for the pushback. JimieN on the backside. Nuke knows he can only go forward, flashing out to safety. It's pretty damn clean. Shunn out of mana. Ulti coming in. Just a bit of poke. No further committal from BDS. A bloody mess of an exchange.
Taking what should have been a free kill onto Crownie and turning that into a 2-for-1 for BDS. What I thought was already a robbery is even more now that they could somehow come out net positive in that play as we initially see this solo kill.
And I gotta say, this...
The second E forward was an interesting choice.
Was bold. Okay, but this is the thing that I love from Rest. Absolute confidence here to go for that. Because if you whiff the Infernal Chains, you look like an idiot.
He was close. Q went right wide. Here's this play, though, where they immediately get on top of him. This looks fantastic. The flash out. This, though, the interrupt by Labrov jumping in the way. Shunn has to flash in front of Labrov to try and land the W afterwards. Gemini also misses ultimate. And then there's nothing left. They're able to skate out. And because Nuke has pressure on the mid lane, when Gemini starts trying to move up to the river to contest that Scuttle Crab, it looked like the rest of the team can hop over the wall, find this kill. I like the decision to go in there by Gemini and just finish Crownie off and try and keep skirmishing, but man.
But it's also such a close fight. ShiauC hits level 6 because Crownie dies. That could have been so much worse for CFO.
Yeah, same with Sheo grabbing his ult, I think, at the tail end of that fight as well, then being able to send that over to protect the rest of the team. They got a lot of flashes out, too. Shunn burned his flash earlier. JimieN burned his flash trying to get on top of Nuke, who was able to flash out safely. There's basically no flashes in the game after that.
Rest going in. Already burned the Umbral Dash, so Adam's just going to be forced back. Lane does not get easier for Renekton.
Nope, does not. He did hold on to his ultimate there while Rest burned his, so should be relatively safe unless Gemini can land a nice CC combo here, but there's enough vision from BDS on this side of the map to not be surprised of anything coming in, and you have Sheo now hovering as a result.
Yeah, Aatrox still a champion who needs a couple Qs to connect to kill you too. It's not, he doesn't one-shot you. It's not a blink of an eye that you disappear. You're going to have a lot of time, again, short of that CC combo, to pop your ult, to try to dash to safety. Crownie on the bottom side, getting closer to what I assume will be an early Blade of the Rune King, as is pretty standard for Kalista, especially with a lot of beefy frontliners on the opposite side, but he is trailing behind Kaisa pretty dramatically. Tark obviously giving you a decent amount of armor, so I think that's probably why we're seeing Shunn not go towards the lethality build. Maybe in some contexts would make sense when you have a lead like this, but you know, a lot of beefy frontliners on the opposite side as well.
Yeah, a little surprised actually now that you pointed out to not see him going that way with the dive focus of the entire composition. You think just instantly blow somebody up, most likely nuke if you can get on top of him and try and fight from there. And the enemy team does have a lot of beefcakes, but at the same time, you're probably not going to stack too much armor on a Renekton, and the Maokai is a low econ jungler. You know, you're not able to get quite as many armor stacking. And either way, though, still going to be able to pump out a lot of damage, I suppose. And this is one of those awkward games again where CFO is in what feels like a commanding lead, but they have not been able to convert much of that since the very nice opening and the solo kill. The gold lead has largely stayed the same, hovering around 1,000. They did pick up one dragon, but they have not blown open the bot side. But again, they don't really need to from our expectations of how these comps are going to interact.
Yeah. Rest just walking menacingly at Adam. Umbral dash into the Q2. Q3 won't connect. Adam walks away slowly.
Drake stacking commences on the bot side of the map. Still far behind, still 20 CS deficit, still jungle advantage as well to Gemini in CS. Grabbing the second one also has the mythic advantage across the board, so there's no way BDS would ever want to take that fight. Looking more like a third or fourth dragon that they will have to contest at this point.
Yeah.
And
it's a tricky one, Mark. You know, I'm not really sure what BDS can do here, because Crownie, while against a lot of these more bruisery-style champions, Kalista's notorious for just being able to survive forever in a fight. The Oyster really limits that, especially a phase rush Oyster who can just QW in, ulti, hit you once, zoom in and out, stay on top of you, make sure that you connect with that stun. It's going to be tricky to navigate. A lot of pressure on Labrov now to find that great Taric ultimate, as there's a bit of a contest here around the blue buff. Smite will go over to Gemini.
Yep, a little early, it looked like from Sheo there maybe. And like you said, there are tools for BDS comp where if they go in, you get the Taric ultimate off because it wasn't super clean. Kalista builds a bunch of stacks up because she's invulnerable and hopefully free hitting during that time. Nuke shuffles people away, you rip them out. Of course, and it's still, again, now only a 2,000 gold advantage, but the problem is it's going to keep creeping up because you honestly can't fight until you have your items, and they are behind CFO and getting there, and the lead just grows and grows and grows. And by the time you have your items to fight, suddenly it's 3 dragons and a 4K gold advantage if CFO continues to snowball.
Yeah. JimieN walking forward, isolating. Sheo now needs to make it out safety, but again, the layering of the CC here, flawless from CFO to find that pick. Take a look at the match card lane economy snapshot. Lane's looking good for CFO is the story here, and that snapshot didn't take into account that kill, so I imagine even mid lane now in the favor of CFO.
That would be a 300 gold swing. Unfortunately, he did not pick it up, so getting the assist instead. Nice aggressive as well. I like seeing JimieN just flash in there, even though Sheo had flash, and I assume they had that timer. There's so much CC follow-up that as long as you lock him down to start that off with. I think he got that. Did he get it? I couldn't tell. I didn't see a Trito go over, but maybe he didn't have any treats. It's usually the easiest way to tell. Yeah. Just like, did he heal for a bunch?
Adam, World Ender coming through. If he can get out without burning his zone ability, pullback does connect. So, an ultimate advantage here. Doesn't need to reset. Hopefully he can pick up the Gore Drinker, or this lane is going to be very difficult.
It's one of those, it feels like it's what the top lane is going to be now, is Rest generally getting good trades and chasing him down, and Adam trying to survive. And at some point, hopefully in team fights, killing Shunn or something. Because otherwise, yeah, the side lane will largely be in Rest's favor. That's what we're talking about, where the matchup, assuming you're playing it correctly and you're able to land some of your W Infernal Chains and your Darkened Blades, there's not much Renekton can do.
Yeah, this is an interesting balancing act. Actually, I love Aatrox as a champion just from watching people lane as and against him. There's this like beautiful dance of spacing where like you want to be on top for Q2 and Q3, or sorry, Q1 and Q2, and then you want to be as far away from him from Q3, and like watching that back and forth is always pretty fun. That said, not as fun when the Aatrox is sitting pretty on a Gore Drinker, while Renekton only has bits and pieces.
Yeah, and your entire rest of your map is falling behind.
Yeah.
I'm playing Renekton. What am I doing here?
Sure. And this is one of those moments we talked about. Renekton does everything pretty solid, but you know, he doesn't. There's not a niche. We're not waiting for a sudden window of opportunity where Adam is suddenly the strongest champion.
Yeah, don't
in the
worry.
game.
Once third item comes online, he's going to do this, this, and that.
Great. Like, he's always going to be a threat.
Whoa.
Crownie locked up. Chain CC again coming through, forcing out the cleanse. Crownie now just going to keep walking forward, knowing that he's not under a lot of threat. ShiauC still coming, though. He has to be careful. Adam going in. He might just be able to one-shot, gets him down before he can use the dominant. ShiauC now needs to run. Zooming out to safety. Crownie desperate for more, but nice bit of a play there. It does mean Rest is going to get a lot of time unattended on the top side. There are no plates left, but could just look to burn down that tower.
Still like the aggressive teleport out of Adam. Quick reaction time to that so they can save Crownie and also get that punish kill onto JimieN, who threw those chains out, started running away, ended up really close to the Kalista. And with that time, though, they do get a kill on the, turret on the top side, and they'll grab the Rift Herald as well. It is at least getting some gold back into BDS, because otherwise, how else will you be able to trade turrets if you're just losing in most of your lanes or down pressure at the very least?
Ooh. Drags JimieN now. Ooh, not quite going to connect there. Would have been able to take the 1v1 you assume with the dominance advantage.
Did save the turret with that teleport, so while I'm sure BDS will grab that shortly, it is sometimes a little frustrating. You just need that, like, 100 gold.
Well, and like, you look at the objectives coming up, it's 33 seconds to the Dragon. If that staggers a recall timer, if that frees up CFO to push in this mid lane, then it's absolutely worth the expenditure. ShiauC is, Oh, nuke. Isolated. Why would you dash back? Trying to bait him in. Rest now just going to blast cone out to safety. The stun not quite going to catch him in midair. That was almost very suspect, but everyone manages to make it out safe. Ultimately, Rest forced to flash.
Having some happy game a little bit right now with ShiauC going over the wall before the Rift Herald was in range, taking a ton of damage, and then Rest having a really nice trade onto Nuke. And then Nuke kind of, like you said, baiting him in, and the rest of the team able to collapse, getting the flash out of Rest, limiting his playmaking as we head towards this third Dragon, and BDS getting the inside track on it because, again, ShiauC had to go back to base and heal up.
Excellent window of opportunity to try to capitalize on here. Crownie opting for the Blade, the Rune King opting for the Rage Blade as well, so more spears going to be in that Dragon, that much easier to secure it. There should be no way for CFO to win the 50-50 with Crownie having that many spears and eyes on the prize. They immediately going to ult. Now the follow-up just has to stop in its tracks. ShiauC's there, but there's no effective damage output. Solid fight for BDS thus far. Do they want to commit or back away with what they got? Crownie just continuing to step forward, knowing he's under no threat. ShiauC over-committing into the Taurak, and now Adam instantly looking to follow up. BDS finding the angle, too, into the back pocket of Crownie.
Despite the horrendous start that they were forced on from that level 1, and then the Gemini in back pocket of bot lane almost the entire game. Crownie is finding ways to contribute. Labrov, the nice ultimate, pulling off the combination that we were saying was how you can win these fights. Getting the Taurak ultimate off. ShiauC going in right then and being able to just stack up spears in him. Once the Alistar ult drops off, you blow him up. And saving grace for CFO in this situation was they did continue their Dragon stacking. I like the setup here out of CFO, kind of threatening from multiple angles. They get this away. That's great because Sheo was, kind of more worried about dying than getting the smite right there. But then once the Taurak ultimate drops, ShiauC going in just gives them a target to focus down, and the rest of CFO was split and looking like they were happy to just back off from there. And then Rest stuck around just slightly too long. He ends up dropping as well with the rest of BDS hopping the wall and maybe beginning to find their angle into this game.
Yeah. And I think for CFO, we're noticing a concerning trend of these like spectator objectives, where they show up and they're kind of just hoping that BDS fumble the bag and that they can jump in and steal something away. ShiauC overcommitting. Saw it in game 1 as well, and I think it's either go and contest and fight or don't, but this spending so much time just to lose members in the exchange, and power that Taurak ultimate very apparent in the previous fight. With no immediate follow-up, with no immediate burst damage coming through, it's so easy to just wait out that channel time and leverage it to its fullest.
Yeah, really nice stuff out of BDS. Still 2,500 gold behind. Still, the Dragon went over to CFO, so there's huge pressure on this next one to make sure that they don't get it. But at the end of the day, they did get some more gold into their back pocket.
Yeah, and completely wrong there, because I missed the steal, so thank you for calling it out, Mark, because that shouldn't happen against a Kalista, and CFO do make it happen. So actually, the grand scheme of things, probably worth that much closer to Ocean Soul. Incredibly impactful against a lot of these champions. Certainly against the poke of a demonic Maokai.
They're able to stay healthy if they are walking into saplings. Always feels nice to kind of negate one of the strongest parts of Maokai's kit. Still will have vision control. We'll still have to walk into them, but even with demonic red smite, will not be quite as much damage as you're absorbing through the healing of the ocean. Now we see Nuke in a bit of trouble. Gets the turret up, at least, to protect his back off there.
They remember from game 1. You don't fight the Emperor and his little mini kingdom here on the bottom side. As brief as it will be.
Setting up, clearing out some vision. My question is from here, how does CFO win this game? Because we saw them in the losing position in the previous game, able to with their backs against the wall, find that aggressive angle. Now, in the driver's seat of the game, how do they want to pilot it? That last objective, I will chalk up to a series of unfortunate events. They lemony snicketed their way into that where ShiauC gets chunked out by flashing the wall too early, then Rest loses his flash, and then they're late to the dragon, and then they're trying to contest it.
Because they get the steal, though, it's kind of like even though it's questionable, ultimately it's like, all's well that ends well, which isn't a great way to look at League of Legends from a competitive standpoint, but sometimes you take the dubs you can get.
Yeah, but projecting forward, if you keep doing that,
that's
eventually you probably should not win that game.
Talking about. If we keep doing it, we get Ocean Soul in the next one.
Fair enough.
You know?
That is
keep flipping it. If you keep winning the flip, there's nothing wrong with flipping, right? That's gambling in a nutshell.
I'm not gonna do the copy pasta.
You're not gonna do the gambler's fallacy thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just one more away. No, here I will say you can see that Goldie kind of plateauing, unfortunately, for CFO. You want to have a little bit more control, and those kills did matter. It did get Crownie to a spot where he feels pretty relevant, even items at least, with Shunn here. And so while Kai'Sa will outgo the Kalista, at least at this portion of the game, you are very, very relevant if you're able to stack up spears. And I like BDS kind of putting their foot on the gas here and saying, we don't want to just keep even farming and go into the next dragon.
Yeah. BDS. CFO have the gold lead, but it's BDS dictating the pace of the game right now. CFO forced to play it to their tune. Now looking to test 6K getting lower. Again, it should be impossible to steal his objective. Stun locking up. JimieN forcing out the early stopwatch, looking to burn him down. He's now pushing back. He's now trying to make it out to safety. Tarkalt now coming down. Can they take the objective? Again, there should be no way it's getting stolen. It's sloppy on the finish, but it does not matter as they look to find the fight. Shunn on the backside, not able to finish off. Nuke, still standing. Hits with a Fnatic logo. Gemini flashes in with the smite to finish the job. But at the end of the day, BDS get the Baron, and Adam might have struggled against the Aatrox, but he is absolutely smashing this Kai'Sa. Taking his time, Shunn running for his life, but it does matter? Does it matter? Oh my God! He gets lost in the sauce. The disrespect more important than just finishing the job.
Pushing the recall buttons, trying to flex on him a little bit, ends up going down, but still, BDS absolutely love that call. Use your kits to the maximum, stack those spears up, force them into you. I think the decision to split the fight as well, to force JimieN off to the left side of the fight so you're not just all corralled in the pit, was absolutely massive here. And the focus by Crownie, making sure that he gets all the spears in here. JimieN just slightly ahead of the play, Nuke and Adam comboing together to kill him, while Rest is the only one in the fight. And because Labrov can get this ultimate off, you pull him on top of you, guaranteed get that, and then they can finish the objective off, refocus down to the front line. Shunn goes flying in, but it's too little too late now, and BDS might have just punched their tickets potentially to the advancement match tomorrow against the PCS #1 seed if they can make the most of this Baron buff.
And that's the thing, talk about the backbreaker plays today. This wasn't it, this was just kind of funny. It's just taking the time. I mean,
Kai'Sa's a fun champion, and you probably, you know,
whoops.
I don't know what to do.
Fine.
Whatever. I mean, they stopped the dragon stacking.
Yeah.
They get their Baron. They have the control now. You know, this is a huge win for BDS here, and at least showing that they are doing a very good job of understanding their composition. When they lock this in, we're highlighting the fact that we haven't really seen this out of BDS, this exact combination of champions, and there's always concern with this kind of thing if you're able to actually execute on it. And despite the horrendous start, BDS is showing they know how to do this.
And you look at the teamfight damage, you can see that Crownie is making his mark on this pick. I think excellent recognition of a lot of these short-range champions on the opposite side. Kalista champion who's great in these extended fights when she can dance around a lot of these more melee champions. And while it's something we haven't seen from Crownie this year, you know, still making it work, making it count, because it made sense in the draft. And I imagine they've been preparing it, paired with the Taric ultimate. It's looking like BDS, seemingly out of nowhere, have taken total control of this game.
Yeah, it was heavily favored for the vast majority of the game, basically since level 1 towards CFO, but that Baron flip coming up huge for him.
And again, in a perfect world, not a flip. They did leave it at 1,000 health. They did not count 1, 2, 3 on the smites. It got a little hectic here. Focus now on Labrov. They've stolen away a Maokai ultimate. Maokai ultimate traded. Kitty Cats going back and forth on both sides. Taric ultimate now coming in. ShiauC is once again overcommitted to the Taric ultimate. Will not get stunned at this time around, trying to pop back, but Adam immediately just stepping forward to the back line. So much damage coming out from the call to Meek. ShiauC dead as well. CFO trying to dig themselves out of the hole and only end up digging deeper in the favor of BDS. JimieN's forced to retreat, and BDS barreling down the top side.
Baron has timed out, but it's still a 5v3. We want to see how aggressive BDS wants to be here. Is it inhibitor back, or are you going to try and push forward? 30 seconds on Rest, 15 on ShiauC. They're considering it.
I think you got to go for the throw here. Crownie locked up for a moment, but they just don't have the follow-up damage. Too much wave clear from the side of CFO. They opt to just get out rather than risk diving the Nexus towers.
I gotta tell you, Labrov's Taric has been impressing me here yet again. When you're playing against Taric, what you want to do is threaten enough of an engage that he has to pop his ultimate. You back off from that position, and then you re-engage. But Labrov is just so confident that he doesn't need to ult quite yet, and he holds it until the next Maokai ultimate comes in the second engage, and that's when he pops his ultimate, and that's when the turn comes through. Absolutely love the restraint on the Taric play there, and then Adam shows up, then they can chase forward and win this fight.
Yeah. I gotta say, I was skeptical about the Kalista Taric, even more so after that first blood kill, but credit to BDS. Making this combination for both champions, you know, kind of utilizing it to the fullest, making it look good.
And really heads up drafting and throws an extra wrinkle into what I think a lot of people expected out of BDS, where it's mostly kite back compositions, scaling, and it's just, is Adam going to do something weird? Here you see that the rest of the team can have unique pocket picks, these things that will answer compositions. When CFO goes full dive, full send, full commit to blowing up targets, and you flex in the Kalista and the Taric, and you're able to counter the enemy composition, it makes you have to pay way more attention in the draft into what you're actually playing into.
Certainly. And I think you're in this awkward point now where you have a lot of these champions who are bruisers who just don't have the burst damage. As we see there, the instant engage comes out, but it's a slow team fight. BDS taking their time, flash back from Crownie. Fate's Call coming out, thrown in the midst of the team. The shield coming in again. There's no angle here for CFO. They're booming in to just get slaughtered. Crownie again, still standing. But they don't have the money. They don't have the comp. They have nothing left. That fight was not good, and BDS punished them for trying to take it.
A 5-for-0 clean ace out of BDS. They destroy CFO. The minions are showing up now to help them end this game. That should be it.
BDS barrel down the mid lane. They were in control in game 1. They lost it a bit here in game 2, just as they did in game 1. But at the end of the day, when it comes time to show up, BDS should show up. They will move on to the best of 5. They will move on to the enemy fountain for some reason. They will take their time, but they will take the win as well. BDS one best of 5 away from securing the Swiss stage.
The importance of the losers bracket coming up big today. Both GAM and BDS drop down on day 1, making some mistakes, some uncharacteristic play out of them, and recovering in the losers bracket, looking way better even today than yesterday for BDS. A level of aggression that we weren't seeing out of them, not just scaling into it, but looking for their moments, looking for their opportunities, and pulling the trigger when they see them.
Yeah. And that game right there, way more confidence inspiring for BDS fans than game 1.
Yeah.
Game 1, slow, steady. Again, 1 or 2 fumbles almost cost you the game, but didn't because you were in control and you had a big enough lead that it wasn't the end of the world. That game, starting behind, bringing it back. Top lane not massively ahead. In fact, starting to get further and further behind when it comes to Adam, even if he was finding these good little gold advantages, but showing up way better in the team fights. BDS executing as a team way better.
I think it's like one of these weird ways to gain confidence, to be losing the game and recover it, because the way that you were losing the game was a little hard to predict. BDS does do aggressive level 1s, and they kind of got called out by the Alistair here, and they fell behind because of it. But they did not crumble. They did not fall apart despite how much pressure was put onto that bot side of the map. They didn't end up actually dropping again, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They recovered extremely well, and going forward now, looking towards tomorrow against PSG, who is generally considered a stronger opponent than CFO, they will have to continue to play this well. And it gives, I think, European fans a lot of confidence. The LEC should breathe a huge sigh of relief now.
Yeah.
After
the loss and after a surprisingly contentious early game against DFM, I was sweating. But BDS at the end of the day, they stay alive here at Worlds 2023, and they are going to face PSG tomorrow for a spot in Swiss. To recap the day, let's send it over to the analysts for Worlds Cooldown.
I have no words. I have no way to understand BDS, and I genuinely do not know what to expect from this team. Coming to game 1, my expectations were low. The first 20 minutes, they blow me out the water. The next 20 minutes, they make me depressed. I come into game 2, Crownie gives up first blood on an invade. I'm convinced we're going to game 3, and then they have one of the best, cleanest comebacks I've seen in a while. This team is a little all over the place, but they have picked up the wins. They're 1 BO5 away from making it to Swiss.
True, Trevor. If you can't handle them at their worst, you don't deserve them at their best. At the end of the day, they showed it from both sides. Game 1, great early game, pretty tragic late game. Game 2, pretty tragic early game, but they come back later on. So congratulations to BDS for this one. Great play.
No, absolutely. You know, when the early game started to crumble a bit, and I saw that there was a Callista, you know, Adam got solo killed on the Renekton.
Yeah.
You got a little bit worried, didn't you? Like, just a little tiny bit.
I got very worried.
Yeah, I mean, no, let's not overplay it. We were just a little bit worried. But then going into the mid-game around the objectives, I mean, wow, great team fighting coming through, especially with the usage of the Taric ultimate. It just seemed like CFO did not know how to play into that whatsoever. And also, a lot of credit to the members that's not Adam for once, from stepping up for BDS. I think all of them really delivered in this game. And despite Adam's little, do we call it a mishap with his disrespect in the top lane, the personality display?
I think the personality display, I actually don't think you can even criticize it because of the fact that they won so quickly after. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's about sending a message.
Sure.
It's about mentality.
True.
All right, I think it's definitely debatable.
Had the game gone 5 more minutes and that additional bouncy gold had mattered, sure.
Then
but
you're giving him the death
right?
stare. Yeah.
But I mean, they knew they were finishing it, so yeah, I'm going to allow it. Also, coming from the traitor that called it 2-1 in favor of Flying Oyster at the beginning of the day, if I recall correctly.
You thought we had missed that, huh?
Very rich, Mr. Goldberg. Vedius out there is seething. Vedius out there, who is channeling his euphoria fully, is going to throw you under the bus for bailing on BDS. Look at these plays. Look at this objective.
And where was your confidence in the prediction, too? I said 2-0 BDS. You're like, 2-1 CFO.
No, I just said he was quick. I got a producer in here telling me we need to throw. Trevor is throwing to the next castle with the game coming in. I have to go quick. Also, I'm getting shamed by you guys. Makeup Lady came through, looked at me, and just said, "You disrespect my boys." This is what happens. She called me Vedius because Vedius is usually the one with these predictions. So yeah, I got my fair share of it. You know, Adam, he tried to help me out. Did not work.
One of our producers that does a lot of the international events, he actually said that if BDS wins, he deserves a raise. So Sam, that's a shout out to you there for having a bit of a joke. Regardless of that, let's zoom out. Let's take a brief second and to recognize that for Flying Oysters, they have now been eliminated.
Yes.
Flying Oysters came in, they made a statement, they were a strong opponent, and I think there were multiple times, especially in Game 1, where they really could have punished BDS, forced us deeper into the series. Ultimately, though, BDS did step up to the plate today, pick up the win, and advance to face PSG in the next round.
Yeah, and CFO gave us some of the most exciting games and series of the tournaments. They were bloodthirsty. Specifically, shout out to JimieN. He had both. In his loss in the Azir game, I thought he was amazing. His Jace has been exceptional, so I'm actually looking forward to just seeing him go back domestically and also come back to an international, the next MSI. So even though it's an ending for him and his team, still a proper showing for the second seed for the PCS.
And Goldberg, when we take a look at the bracket, Team Wales versus GAM. The VCS number 1 and number 2 seed, they are flipped this time around versus what they came in from. Team Wales will be the highest seed, PSG versus BDS, so PCS and LEC, only 2 of those teams will advance to Swiss.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so excited for tomorrow. No, of course for PSG versus BDS, but maybe even more so actually for Team Wales versus GAM. It's a rematch of the finals we had at VCS, but this is also the first time where Team Wales actually get to participate in a finals with the full roster. Yeah. I saw a lot of fans say, wait, how this team, the second seed coming into it? One, Wales evolved a lot going into play-ins. Like, they are so much better than they were when they played in the playoffs of VCS. But also, B was hospitalized when they were playing the finals, so he could not participate. This time around, they get to have the rematch where you have a full roster for Team Wales.
Well, we'll find out what happens. I just heard the interview is ready. Law is standing by with Adam in Korea.
Welcome back to Seoul for the Verizon post-game interview here with Adam from BDS. Congratulations on making it to best of 5. It was not an easy road for you guys, but you guys made it. Talk me through this series. Chaotic first game, second one a bit more clean. But how do you guys always do it like this? Nothing's easy with you guys so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I knew that we would kind of win today because after the loss against the Team Wales, we had a lot of discussions about what would work the best for us. And starting from yesterday, I think we've shown pretty clean performances, apart from today's game 1, which is, I would say, I mean, BDS is not, we always have this tendency to go a bit slow, sometimes. But once we're in. So.
Can you tell me a bit more about the way you reflected on the games yesterday? You were saying that you know which way you should take. Can you tell me more about this and the learnings from this one?
Yeah, for example, if you take a look after the loss against Team Wales, I was really, really frustrated, really angry towards myself and also towards my teammates, right? Because, of course, when you're at a world stage, you should not be happy, right? And you should also take accountable, your teammates if they do something bad. So this is why, we after this we had kind of a big discussion, and then we worked all together to really see like what actually is the best for us.
Okay.
And in game, I think now everything's good. To be fair, so I'm really glad.
Found your groove. Happy to hear that. You were mentioning how important it is, especially on the world stage. This is not your first Worlds participation. I know the last one was a bit complicated for multiple reasons, but what is your resolution this time around? What do you want to prove personally, and what do you want to achieve? And also, what kind of mindset are you in compared to last time?
I mean, when I was in Fnatic, it was my first World. So, I mean, overall, I was a rookie back then, and I said it multiple times, but I didn't feel like, I was a member of Fnatic, but it was hard for me like to really feel integrated, in the team, because there was quite a lot of big names, right? So it's hard. It was hard for me like to find myself, like to raise my voice, etc. But right now it's a bit different because apart from Crownie, I don't think there's big names because only Crownie is there for a while. But I can voice myself, right? And it feels so much different. And also, when I proved to myself that it was not a luck when I was in Fnatic that I qualified towards, because now I'm here with BDS, and I think I deserve to be here.
No disrespect for your teammates, of course, but it feels like you're the main character for BDS here when you think of the fans, the overwhelming support that they brought you, the gods memes and everything. 3 champions down, by the way, 1 more to go. But did you think the fans would react this way?
I mean, of course not, right? Because I kind of knew that I had kind of a growing fan base from Korea, because there's this YouTuber that does a lot of videos from me, and he was already doing it from winter, so I kind of had this fan base growing more and more. But the day I got to Korea, and after we just beat GG's, it was just super amazing, right? Kind of unbelievable. I could not expect that, so I'm really glad, to live that.
Former world champion Wolf actually praising Adam. For those who don't know the story, we'll touch on that a bit later in another interview. But let's focus on the match you're going to have tomorrow. I think it may be one of the hardest matchups you could have expected for. PSG Talon, the next step. What is your resolution for this game? What can we expect from you guys?
I mean, I believe PSG and us were like the best teams out of all the planes. So it's going to be a tough matchup for us. And I do believe we should be a bit stronger than them. But of course, it's not going to be easy. So I would say if we kind of come up with the same mentality as we did today, with like confidence, and we know that we'll smash them, I think we should be winning in the end. But of course, we should not be underestimating. For example, when like on game 2, when I suicide on the Kaisa after the Nash.
Let's not do that.
It happens. We can forget that, right? It never happened.
It never happened.
So yeah, thanks.
All right. Good mindset for tomorrow. Adam, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Good luck tomorrow, of course. And back to you guys in Dublin.
Thank you so much. Lord, that was a fantastic interview. Fantastic call out for Wolf as well. And I think I always love hearing from Adam. He's reflective. I think he's honest. I think he's quietly confident as well, but, in a grounded sense. I mean, what's your biggest takeaway from that interview and from what he just said over the last few minutes?
Well, first of all I think the biggest one for me was how was their reflections after their games against Team Wales, because I think that's where we care the most as an EU fan base in terms of the team that showed up that day and the improvements they're going to be making. And I kind of get why he was frustrated as well. It did feel like he was playing a lot of the game and the teammates were sitting back a bit, but I also will say that ever since those conversations started, against TFM, that felt like a good practice run. Now against today's CFO today, that feels like a testament to the fact that the rest of BDS is back.
I really like that.
For two things that I got out of that one that I really enjoyed is this time feeling fully integrated, being able to comfortably speak his mind, and the other one, keeping his teammates and himself accountable. Those 2 things can go really far off. You can go a long way.
Keeping teammates accountable.
Yeah.
Hang on now. Separate.
Okay.
What was your prediction for this series?
2-0 BDS.
What was your prediction for the series? And look at this camera, right? Tell the camera who you predicted to win. No, come on. Own
this
up.
Camera right here.
Own up. Adam taught me to keep your teammates accountable, right?
Right.
And you sold them out.
I did.
You undervalued Adam and BDS.
Just straight up not believe it. No, I did not undervalue Adam.
LEC and EMEA fans, remember who the Judas was. Let's move on, okay, because I'm holding you accountable for this. And let's zoom out We've got one other series to talk about before we round out the day. Let's talk a little bit about GAM.
It's called the positive jinx.
Sure. Whatever you want to spin to cover that up. Raz, because I just attacked Gulborg.
Yeah.
Let's talk about GAM and Loud. Quickly recap that series for me. And let's also remember we're saying goodbye to Loud.
You got any spots on the LCS?
I think you've just seen our games at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, but you haven't lost at Worlds yet.
Okay, fair enough. Look, understood. Look, we could talk after this.
Okay. Let's pay
Okay.
our respects to both GAM and Loud just before. Well, okay, I wasn't going to go quite that far.
Okay.
Let's quickly summarize the series. What do you remember from earlier in the day? And for me, frankly, Loud, especially in Game 2, underperformed. I expected more. I wanted a more competitive series.
Yes.
I saw individual mistakes that were capitalized and punished. And it's heartbreaking because I think I see that from CBLOL and from Loud so often.
I agree. Like nerves and tilt. I think the tilt in particular because of how the game can start, and that can go a long way. You're on a big stage, different environment, and if you mess up in the first few minutes, especially the top lane dive that didn't turn out too well, you can start to feel that pressure. For me, my reflections on them, they're still a 3-time champion domestically. These players are still amazing domestically, and it's just a lesson you have to take from an international stage. So I'm hopeful for the region and for these players to look back at these VODs going into the next year. It's a tough one when you get eliminated by this one, but at least it makes you develop as a player and as a person.
It just felt tough because this, sorry, let me readjust that.
Okay.
This really felt like the year where it was going to work for Loud. I think coming in from the beginning till 2-0 in GAM, to what they displayed, Rout's performance in the beginning, but I think it also showed the inconsistency of performance that's always been plagued in the minor region. Because for a lot of them, it is not really a question about are they good players. It's more like, can you consistently show up with a level of gameplay that is justified at an international? And it's plays like the ones you just saw in front of your screen. That is the no. That is the, oh, damn, I can't believe this happened in the official. And that's what breaks it apart for them.
Yeah, and I'm going to zero in on Robo a little bit, that domestically is the best top laner. And the champion pool worked out really well for him where, he could play the Olaf, he could play the Aatrox and the Renekton, but then few patches go through that drastically change the look of the top lane pool. Now you can look at it and be like, damn, I need to be a little bit more adaptable in these situations to help out my team.
And unfortunately, it wasn't the case. We saw a replay there of Kiaya popping off. Laura actually spoke to him earlier in his Verizon post-game interview.
And we're back in Seoul after GAM qualified for the best-of-5 series that they will play tomorrow. And I have their top laner, Kiara, with me to talk about this amazing victory. Thank you so much for joining me. You get the revenge against Loud today. And I remember that you guys lost a game last time to a late-game team fight bot lane. So how did you refine the approach today to actually stay in control when you have a lead and close out the games?
Thì lần trước á, thì em đã thua Laos ở vì bot lane của mình và ở giai đoạn sau. Thì tụi em đã thay đổi cái lối chơi như thế nào để mà lần này em có một cái kết quả hoàn toàn khác biệt vậy?
Thì lúc đầu thì bọn em bot em đã thua thì do là bọn em bot em không có sự tập trung cao á, thì do là không có sự tập trung nên là đã mắc sai lầm những pha đầu nên là đã dẫn đến những cái hệ quả sau đó là game em bắt đầu khó chơi. Thì sau đó thì tâm lý của bot em cũng không có được ổn định nên là game ngày hôm đó và bot em không được tốt cho lắm. Thì sau ngày hôm sau thì bọn em đã bàn bạc là bọn em chỉ cần tập trung và cần làm những gì mà tem đề ra thôi là bọn em sẽ đánh đỡ hơn. Thì đó là lý do mà bọn em qua mấy trận sau thì đánh rất là tốt.
In the first game against Laos a few days back, our bot lane made a mistake early game, but that ruined their whole mentality for the whole series. So this time around, we've told them to just focus on what the team needs to do, and they'll be fine. And that's how we got over it.
All right, it gets time to adjust, especially at such an important event such as this one. But you played so well today, and I was listening to the interview you did with the LCK and Subin, and you got the player of the series. You did not expect it. So how would you rate the performance you had today, and more generally, the responsibilities you have with GAM?
Hôm nay em đánh giá cái màn trình diễn của mình như thế nào và cái trách nhiệm của mình với team như thế nào?
Bản thân em đánh giá là đội em nay cũng rất là tốt. Thì nay thì đối với team em thì team em muốn là em chỉ cần làm những việc mà team em đề ra và làm thôi, và em chỉ cần tập trung những làm những cái đó thì team em cũng sẽ dễ chơi hơn. Và điều quan trọng là em cũng cần giữ một cái đầu lạnh cũng như là tinh thần tốt để mà kiểu thi đấu á. Thì hôm nay bản thân em cũng như cả đội đã làm tốt được việc đó.
I think I played well today. What my coaches told me is that I just need to keep myself cool and do exactly what the team has planned out to do. And I think today, me and my teams has accomplished that, and so we got ourselves a victory.
It was an amazing victory, and moving forward tomorrow, it's going to be Battle of the VCS for the qualifier. You know each other really well, but actually when you look at this year, you went 10 wins, 5 losses in your favor against Team Wales. So I guess you guys are expected to win tomorrow, but what do you think of Team Wales' performance so far at Worlds and how strong they are right now?
Thì sắp tới thì em sẽ phải đối đầu với Team Wales á. Dựa trên kết quả trước đây thì Team Gam với Wales sẽ là 10 năm. Kết quả thắng thua là 10 năm. Thì sau những gì em thấy Wales đã trình diễn ở 2 ngày vừa qua thì em dự đoán kết quả ngày mai như thế nào?
Bản thân em nghĩ thì ngày mai giờ trận sẽ khá là căng thẳng, tại vì Team Wales đang có một cái đà đi lên rất là tốt vì họ đã thắng 2 trận trước đó rồi. Nhưng mà bọn em cũng như vậy, thì em nghĩ là ngày mai sẽ là trận sẽ mà quyết định là bọn em Team Wales hay là Team Gam sẽ vào trong. Nhưng mà em nghĩ là bọn em cũng tự tin nói rằng là bọn em sẽ chiến thắng Team Wales, tại vì ở giải quốc nội bọn em cũng đã thắng Team Wales rất là nhiều rồi, và em tin là lần này bọn em sẽ thắng được Team Wales nữa.
It will be a pretty tough match tomorrow because Wales has had 2 victories and their mental state is at best right now, but so are we. And so since we have dominated them domestically, I think it will be no different this time.
We'll see who has the momentum then. Thank you so much, Kiria, for the interview. And Koa, thank you so much for the translation. And you guys, back to you.
Thank you so much once again. Yes!
Yeah!
Drop the Normuth moves. Normuth? No, he's not even here. I made a joke earlier today. Never mind. I'm very intrigued to see how this regional final will play out. And I can't shake the feeling that after seeing Team Wales win, it almost unlocked an extra bit of gear, like performance or like an extra gear in Gam's play themselves, because they almost were surprised in some ways. So I'm very intrigued to see who's going to show up on top. Obviously, it was Gam that got the better of Team Wales domestically. Will it happen again? That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. I would actually say in terms of recent performance, Wales has been looking like the better team. But I still think there is this clear better player in the top side with Kiaya over BJ, who is only really looking the best when he's on a champion like Cassante. And on anything else, Kiaya is just going to be the better top laner. So I think that matchup is where I'll have my eyes peeled tomorrow.
And the biggest winner are just the viewers that get a snapshot and a spotlight on the VCS. It reminds me of 2019 semifinals, even though as an LPL fan, you're like, damn, why are we facing each other right now? It also gives an opportunity for fans to see what the LPL is like against each other. So you're like, actually, maybe I'll watch it the next time the VCS is coming. So
this is going to be the highest viewership VCS finals ever, bro.
Boom. It was very exciting because, of course, the winner manages to advance to the Swiss stage. Tomorrow we have 2 best of 5s coming your way. Just before I end the day, I do want to apologize. I threw you under the bus pretty heavily.
Just you wait.
I have to acknowledge, I would have thought coming in today that Flying Oyster was going to beat BDS. I think tomorrow they're going to uphill battle. Let's see if they can.
What's going on here?
All right, listen, if you missed any of the action today, the rebroadcast does begin later at 12 p.m. PDT. That's 9 p.m. CST on LoL Esports. We will return tomorrow for the final games of World's Play-ins with our 2 best of 5s starting at 5 a.m. Central European Summertime. That is 10 p.m. Los Angeles time, if I recall correctly. Stop throwing things. You almost broke the studio earlier. I'm going to put these children to bed, no matter where you are in the world. Good morning, good evening, good night. We'll see you very, very soon for the last 2 play-ins best of series. Seriously, stop throwing things. Children behave. You're grounded. Goodbye, everybody. Cheers.
Get out, trying to sidestep, but they're just taking their time, wait for the charm. Easiest first blood setup ever. A couple minutes ago, Robo once again able to make it out to safety. Pullback, Kiaya now going over for the follow-up. Pullback gonna come through. Now the Q2, Q3, big damage. And Sheo's going in the hook, now 2 downs for the follow-up. Dash out to safety, fancy, 10 outs! needs to get the kill, needs to get the resets. Robo on the backside, maybe he can do it. Tenon's going forward, wants to find the kill. But again, despite all of their efforts, Loud cannot find the angle, and it is all falling apart. Now trying to go for the knockup, gonna fish for the knockback. Caddy just knowing against flash to safety, and instantly EQ in, the flick back. Oh my God, Loud! That was clean as hell. A bit of a fumble though, the axe not quite connecting, and now, ooh, instant knockback, Kiaya. Oh, he's dancing on him! This should not be allowed! What is this Nard doing? He's just killing two grown-ass men on the top side of the map. Look at that Yordle go! Trapped on the turret, no teleports available. Shunn, Glenn's coming out a little bit early here. Feathers fly, Feathers come right back.
Yeah. If you see it, go. Go, nice. E.
I cannot Crownie
getting lower. Shunn does a lot of damage, doesn't have a lot of mana. Adam instantly gonna go for the Haymaker, just trying to buy space for the rest of the team just to secure the Baron, and it pays off.
Fighting jungle now, okay? Fighting jungle. Fighting jungle. Kill it. She's dead. Fight.
Whoa. Hits the Q2, he's gonna hit the Q3. Oh, that's it! Tark ultimate now coming in. ShiauC is once again overcommitted to the Tark ultimate. Will not get stunned up this time around, trying to pop back, but Adam immediately just stepping forward to the back line. So much damage coming out from the Cole of the Meek. ShiauC dead as well. CFO trying to dig themselves out of the hole and only end up digging deeper in the favor of BDS.